Moves like Jagger. I got swagger. This is the Dagger. Welcome to our March Madness podcast. I'm with Ramsey Mackin, my co-host, and our special guest, Dylan Payne. Dylan is a longtime friend. I've known Dylan since we were in 5th grade, 6th grade. We went to summer camp together every single year, all throughout middle school and high school. Dylan's also a sports aficionado, played travel ball for AAU. He's totally very well versed in this world. So I want to welcome Dylan up to the pod.
Glad to be here, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yes, we're very excited to have you as our first guest. I feel like you deserve the title, which we'll give you for now, as the official college sports correspondent, because Rajan and I are mostly the people here that do. We were NBA and NFL fans, but you sure know a heck of a lot more about college basketball and football than we do, and in a lot of ways the professional stuff too. But we're very excited, and we're very excited for this special episode to talk about March Madness, the greatest time of the year. But before we do that, I want to hear a little bit more about this guest. I want you to introduce yourself to the fans a little bit more. So can you just tell us, you're a college student too, where do you go and what do you plan on studying?
So my name is Dylan Payne. I was formerly a college student at the University of Florida. That's where me and Ramsey watched a ton of basketball together, had a lot of great talks, over the course of the semester about a whole bunch of different sports, etc. Since then, I've started at the University of Central Florida. I am a biomedical sciences student, and I want to eventually go to med school. So that's kind of my education background.
So
Awesome.
What are your favorite sports?
So if I had to have, obviously basketball is number one for me. I could watch basketball for probably 365 days, 24/7, never get tired of it. Next, probably be football, and then after that, pretty significant drop off, and then probably throw in something like volleyball or softball.
That's how we roll around here, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of, not baseball haters, but I don't know. I don't even want to get into my politics about baseball, but I just do not understand watching a sport with a 22% field goal percentage if it was basketball. I can't do it.
It's taken some getting used to, but I will say, going to games with your friends and just letting the conversation carry the action, that's fun. I couldn't imagine just watching a straight up baseball game by myself. I don't know who does that.
I'm gonna have to ask the old heads on that one. So what sports teams are you fans of and why?
So I've always been a UCF fan. All of my parents graduated from UCF, and much of my extended family also graduated from UCF. I grew up at my dad's house, less than 3 miles from the campus. I used to run there all the time just for exercise. And they've always been a really big part of my life. Football, basketball, and even some of the other less popular sports too. So it's just always been something that I've followed growing up. And then most recently became a fan of the Gators while going there. Had the opportunity to see their unfortunate and then kind of got better at the end of the year football season, and have gotten to witness this unbelievable basketball season. So I would say that those are the two collegiate teams that I follow. As far as professional sports goes, I'm a big Houston guy. Had a lot of family from Houston, so Houston Rockets and the Houston Texans would be my two primary professional teams. And then, of course, as an Orlando native, the Orlando Magic, we always got to support them as well. So yeah, those are kind of just the teams that I've stuck with throughout my entire life. I will admit it's been pretty rough sledding with the Texans, but you do what you have to do when it comes to your fan base.
Exciting stuff. And yeah, the Texans and the Rockets are good teams to buy stock in now, so it should be paying off sometime soon, right?
Absolutely.
Now, related to the sports teams that you're fans of, do you have a single or multiple favorite sports moments? Could be something that you witnessed in person or you watched on TV, and it could be your favorite team, could not be. I have some, moments throughout my entire life. Just lay it on us.
I could think of one from the Raptors. It's the name of this podcast.
Really, bro. Really. I wonder. let the guest speak, please.
Hey man,
all right, go ahead.
Is this the Dagger? pretty incredible moment. So I would say, like, honestly, all of them have got to be basketball. But from an earlier time in my life, one particular game that comes to mind, UCF played Cincinnati back when Cincinnati was really, really good. This was, I believe, the 2018 season. This was when Zion Williamson, that bunch was in college.
Right.
And UCF had a huge game against them, a ranked matchup, something that was very rare for the program at the time, being in the American, and being kind of a not very well respected basketball program, to be honest. And it was a super exciting year. We had Taco Fall, Aubrey Dawkins, BJ Taylor, all guys that got some run in the G League, and then Taco, of course, with the Celtics for a while. He was
Hey.
pretty hard to forget. Shout out the Celtics. And that game was to pretty much punch our ticket to the NCAA tournament, something that I'd never seen us do. And we ended up winning in a super close game, and everybody stormed the court. It was a really awesome moment. I want to say it was also senior night, which, just
Wow.
the emotions, the first time that I'd really seen that arena completely sold out, and as loud as it was, it's something that really made me fall in love with, like, the college basketball atmosphere. And honestly, it's one of the reasons why I tend to gravitate towards college basketball over the professional leagues, just because, if you're looking for talent, there's no reason that you shouldn't be looking towards the NBA. I mean, collegiate players are amateurs, but the pageantry, the tradition, the craziness, the parody, all of that is things that I've found in college sports to be second to none over the years. So that's definitely one that comes to mind. Another more recent game, when UCF hosted Kansas for its first ever Big 12 basketball game, and we ended up beating them. I don't know how we did it,
Unbelievable.
but everybody stormed the court. Was an incredible moment. So those two for sure. And then more recently, the road trip that we took, Ramsey, Rohan, Lennon, Emmett, and
That's it.
yeah, that's it. To it was Charlotte, right? Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah.
To go see the Gators beat UNC in what was a pretty phenomenal game in a pretty pro UNC crowd. That was an incredible moment. The road trip and the game both. And then also going to Sports Analytics Club and getting to talk with some of the Gators assistant coaches and day-to-day operations people before we knew what kind of team this was going to be. But you just got the sense that after talking with them and seeing the kind of preparation that they took into not only building the team, but that they took into practices, matchups, the kind of analytics that they were tracking, and how forward-thinking they were as a program, you got the feeling that they were going to do some pretty special things. So getting to see that side of college athletics was also one of my more favorite memories as well.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, Kevin Hoved and Jonathan Saffer, I just looked up their names to make sure. Assistant coach and director of basketball strategy. It was crazy talking to them. They were clearly these super smart dudes that had a clear game plan for how incredible offensively the Gators would be. And now I'm watching them on TV. We're gonna be seeing them in March Madness on the sideline. Like, I keep pointing them out to my dad. Like, we actually talked to them. It's so amazing.
Yeah,
By the way,
I did the same thing with my mom. One of them was just giving high fives to the players before the game. I was like, man, we talked to that guy.
yeah, he was right there. Hey, before we ask Dylan something, Rajan, have you ever had an experience of storming the court after a big win? I didn't think so. I did not think so.
I can't say I'm ashamed to wear this hoodie right now, but I'm almost a little bit
You should
ashamed to
be.
wear this hoodie right now. We had such a great so it was before I got to the school, and we were like, like Miami had just gotten to the Final Four. Everyone, the hype around the athletics program was so great because that was the first year Cristobal was our coach, 2023 in the fall for football, and so there was hype around both sports. Football, we kind of fell flat in our face. I was at I don't know if you guys ever caught the GW versus Miami game in the fall of 23. Basically, we were winning the whole game, and we had it locked up, and they were down by one score, and it was a Hail Mary. And we were
Oh,
leaving the
wow.
stadium. We were starting
Yeah.
to walk out of our seats, and all of a sudden, like, there's a whole eruption from the Georgia Tech side of the stands, and we're like, "What the hell just happened?" That was crazy. And then, I mean, last year and this year, our basketball team has not been the best, but I believe in the Canes. I believe we can make a comeback.
I don't.
So I do not have a favorite March Madness moment of my school's team because we really haven't really done that. I guess you could say the Final Four before I got to the school. But I wanted to ask Dylan what his favorite March Madness moment is at UCF or wherever.
Oh man.
March Madness
uh,
moments at UCF, that brings up some rough memories.
yeah, that's actually honestly that's probably the one that I would talk about is
Got
that
it.
that Duke game was just seeing, and especially what we know now about those players that were on that Duke team. I mean, RJ
Mhm.
Barrett's still in the NBA, Cam Reddish still in the NBA, one of the Jones brothers still in the NBA, and obviously Zion. I mean, his career isn't quite what we thought it was going to be because of a host of factors, but he's still an all-star caliber player when he's healthy. Um,
He's been doing great recently. But yeah,
yeah, dropped off a lot of weight. I'm super happy for him, but seeing UCF and like where the program was at the time competing with a national power. I mean, it was like watching like the David and Goliath story play out in front of me. And I I actually got to meet, and I used to work with BJ Taylor. He does stuff for CBS now, but when he was a player and shortly after he ended his college basketball career, I got to work with him a lot, doing some training stuff. So to see a guy like that playing on the biggest stage and, playing against future NBA caliber talent, I'll never forget how that felt. And I'll also never forget how long the ball hung on the rim as
oh my
as
God.
I think it was Aubrey Dawkins went for the tip in for the game, and it just, it fell off, and that moment seemed to be like 5 minutes that it was just circling around the rim. But that's kind of the beauty of March, right? Is the infinite highs and the, desperate lows. So I would say that's definitely one of my favorite moments in really like just getting to see that whole game play out was something very special. And I guess a more positive memory that would be my favorite. One of my first introductions to the tournament ever was watching the Villanova UNC national championship game with my
That's
dad.
what I was going to talk about.
Yeah,
Nothing better than that. Come on.
Yeah.
yep, gives it to Jenkins for the
For the
championship.
championship. Oh, and then you hear the gunshot sounds in the background. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
And something I always loved about that clip, I don't know how Jay Wright keeps a straight
Yes.
face through all that.
I saw
You
another
know?
clip. I think under his breath or something, he says bang. Like he just looks at the ball and then he has a straight face. He just turns to the other bench. It's like, that's it. That's it.
Yep, went to go congratulate him like it was just another game. Like if I just won the national championship, I would be running around like somebody just cut off my head. Like,
Jumping up and down, right?
yeah, jumping up and down, celebrating. I mean, literally anything. He's just stone faced the entire time. So, but that obviously one of the greatest games of all time. Shout out to Marcus Page, hit that crazy one-legged three-pointer beforehand, which nobody remembers now
Nobody
because
does. That
because
three was
Villanova.
objectively harder. I was showing
Yeah.
that. I was watching a compilation of them with my little brother to try to hype him up, and that was the first one. And I was like, dude, nobody even remembers this shot, but like this is incredible. And
Yeah.
yeah, another one I really like was you talk about coaches underreacting. What about remember Ron Hunter like falling off his stool when his son made the three? That was incredible too. That was in that compilation too. That's
That
another
was
one of
that
my
was pretty
favorites.
cool.
um. Anyway, I don't want to I don't want to spoil something that you were going to say later. But do you see yourself with any new favorite March Madness moments coming? You want to tell people what you're up to?
Absolutely. And speaking of not keeping a straight face and reacting in a pretty crazy way, I for some reason thought that the Gators were going to be playing out west, like way, way out west, as soon as we got announced for the western part of the regional. And then I'm watching Selection Sunday, and my dad and I had bought tickets as a part of a Christmas gift to go to Raleigh, North Carolina, for coolest location, closest, a host of factors. We were between Atlanta and Raleigh, and we ended up deciding on Raleigh. And when the Gators got announced to Raleigh, North Carolina, my head almost hit the roof. I mean, to get to see them, not only see them, but see them potentially in a matchup against UConn in the second
Right.
round before we're even out of the first weekend. I mean, for somebody that loves college basketball, it really doesn't get much better than that. So very, very excited to hopefully have some new March memories. Maybe Walter Clayton dropping the dagger in UConn.
Had to
One might
incorporate
think.
that.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Well, we got one other question for you, and that's who you got between. This is a completely different topic. This is NBA MVP race, but we wanted to ask who you have between SGA and Jokic.
Oh, is this like a personal thing, or should I say like who should
Who
who's most
deserves the
deserving?
MVP?
I think the question is, if you were a media member actually casting a vote, who would you pick? Because the answer for that, for more people, might be SGA, even if they think Jokic deserves it, which I think is just a crazy thing to say. But what do you think?
If I was a media member and I had a vote on the MVP, I think it's Jokic, and I don't really think it's that close.
Mhm.
And my reasoning for that is the idea of player value. It's the most valuable player. I don't care that you're on the most winning team in the NBA right now. I think that that's a great thing. What I think that the MVP should be about is what value do you bring to your team? And I think that the best way to measure value is value over replacement. And if you were to take Jokic off the Nuggets right now, which they're a top three seed right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you were to take Jokic off the Nuggets right now and you were to take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander off the Thunder right now, which team feels the impact more? I think that the Nuggets, I mean, I don't even think that they're contenders. Maybe they're contenders for the play-in without Jokic. The Thunder, very, very deep team, very young team, and obviously they would feel the impacts of losing Shai, but I think that they're still a pretty solid playoff contender even without him.
Absolutely.
And just the difficult thing with Jokic, and the thing that I hope that the media members get away from after they did this the first time with Embiid, is the voter fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that you should have an award race held against you because of prior success.
Right.
Otherwise, like what's the point of the award if you're a prolonged dominant force like Jokic has been? And I know that ESPN, and I think I heard you guys talk about it, the stat that once Jokic is in the game, the Nuggets rank top of the league in offense, and
Right.
a couple other stats as well. When he's out of the game, they're one of the worst teams in the league. I just don't think that you find a more valuable player than that in Shai. And that's no disrespect to him. He's obviously an incredible player. I know a lot of people get angry with the foul baiting thing. I was a James Harden fan. I used to get angry with him for that as well. But that's no reason to take away an award from somebody. It's using the game to your advantage. It's a completely legal thing to do. And if he's able to gain an advantage with that, then power to him. But I just think that Jokic's value to his team is just much greater than Shai's.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. I was gonna share the stat that I sent you, Rajan. Can I say it?
Yes, I was about to say the same thing.
Okay, great. So someone posted this on Reddit. This is via Cleaning the Glass, huge like NBA database. I just want to give you a stat to support what you just said, Dylan, where when SGA is on the court, the Thunder play like a 72 win team. So hypothetically, if he never rested, they would go 72-10. Amazing. If he never played, if he was out for the season, they play like a 55 win team. That is
So that's still top 3 in the West easily.
Yeah.
Easily in the East, behind the obviously the Cavs, probably second. Like incredible team. Guess what? For Jokic, when he plays, if you were to play all 48 minutes, they play like a 64 win team. Of course, great, not as high as the Thunder. Obviously, the Thunder are a better team besides him. Do you want to guess how many wins the Nuggets would have if Jokic wasn't there?
I'd say 40.
40?
We'll give you 2 more tries. Go a little bit lower.
Lower?
Dude, you're way too high, dude.
We're talking way too high. 25?
Lower.
20?
Lower.
That's insane.
Final answer, 17. The Nuggets play like they have 47 more wins when Jokic is on the court. The Thunder play like they have 17 more wins.
That's
And
got to be
look,
one of the craziest stats I've ever heard.
you can
Yeah.
talk about how the Thunder are a better team and then some people will be like, why would Shea be docked for just having better teammates? And the Thunder are better constructed than the Nuggets. It's objectively true. Like, no, come on. Stuff like this, though, I mean, you can't get around it. Anything else, Rajan?
It's a good thing you stopped me there because I thought it was 14, and I was about to say lower if he said 15 or 16 or 17. It's a good thing you caught me there. If you want to catch more about us talking about the MVP race and how their values and go into more depth on how their values, affect their teams, please check out our first episode that we just released. At the time of this recording, it's Monday, March 15th, 16th, 17th. It's St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.
This man
We're going to head to a break, and when we get back, we're going to hit a March Madness bracket. We're going to take you through it. It's going to be fun.
Welcome back, y'all. So before we get into the bracket, we're going to work together to make one bracket, the official The Dagger submission for the $1 million prize, which obviously we're going to get. I mean, that's why you guys are listening, right? But
It's the greatest
before we do
podcast
that,
of all time.
before we do that, we would like to just look a little bit of an overview of the tournament, and we just want to talk about contenders first. Dylan, you have a bunch of stats that people have been compiling of the different historical trends that we've seen in champions. Then we're going to do a quick story after that. But Dylan, how about you just jump right in? What do you expect, or what should we be looking for in a contender? What stats are the most important?
So going back to 2002, the last 22 national champions have followed like the following trends, and these are all using Ken Palm rankings, very very famous statistics website. So top 25 in adjusted efficiency margin, top 57 in adjusted offensive efficiency, removing 2014 UConn. That's a very key exception. Top 44
cardiac
in
Kemba right there.
Yeah, cardiac Kemba. And that's such a unique team that they kind of caught fire in the tournament and were honestly really disappointing throughout the rest of the year relative to what their expectations were. Almost a little bit like the UNC team from a couple years prior. But top 44 in adjusted defensive efficiency and top 54 in strength of schedule adjusted efficiency margin. So what teams fit that mold? It's going to be the ones that you expect, all the 1 seeds, Florida, Auburn, Duke, Houston. It's going to be 2 of the 2 seeds in Tennessee and Alabama, 3 of the 3 seeds in Texas Tech, Iowa State, and Wisconsin, a 4-seeded Arizona, 6-seeded Illinois, and the shocker of at least the statistics here for me is number 8-seeded Gonzaga, which is going to be a pretty consistent theme when we're going over them and how they overperform in a lot of metrics relative to their seeding and honestly the season that they've had in general. It's a pretty weird team to dissect, but some talking points here. Some notable missing teams, St. John's and Michigan State, 2 teams that a lot of people are super high on, especially St. John's, coached by Rick Pitino, the best adjusted... Oh, give me one second, guys. Sorry, I was getting a little feedback through my headphones.
No worries.
St. John's, the number 1 defense in the nation in terms of defensive efficiency, but one of the worst offenses that out of all of the top seeds in the tournament. I think Rick Pitino had an interview during the season when asked about his offense and watching them shoot threes. He said that he wanted to kill himself. That's not an exaggeration. He did say this. Yeah, he did say this live on air that when watching them shoot, he wanted to kill himself. So that's a very big problem for St. John's.
St. John's is ranked in the country 65th in offense and first in defense.
Yes. So that's really
that would average out
metrics.
to like 30 something if you had to go down the numbers like that.
I hope so, Mo.
So 8-seed Gonzaga is a really strange one. Only one 8-seed has ever won the NCAA tournament, and that was Villanova in 1985. I'm really not sure why they're here. Them and Illinois, I guess, are the polar bear and Arlington sort of this group. But that changes as we take the metrics and we shrink them down a little bit more. So instead of taking the least from each category, so for example, one of those teams had to have been 25th in adjusted efficiency margin. All of the others might have been below that. And we average out the stats for the last 21 national champions. We get top 11 in adjusted efficiency, top 9 in adjusted offensive efficiency, top 17 in adjusted defensive efficiency, and top 14 in strength of schedule adjusted efficiency. So that only leaves one team in the country that fits that entire profile, and that's Auburn. And it makes sense when you see the kind of season that they've had and the dominance that they've showed throughout the entire year. Obviously, a lot of concerns with them coming into the tournament, losing 3 of their last 4. But
Right.
based on the numbers that they put in front of us across the entire season, they are the only school that fits those criteria as they are. However, caveat to that, Florida fits every other one of those statistics except for strength of schedule adjusted efficiency. They're just outside of the top 14 at number 17. And so I threw them in there as one of the strongest contenders. So using KenPom trends across the last 20 plus years, you would expect the strongest contenders to be Auburn and Florida.
Do you know off the top of your head where Duke is lacking in that? Because I would expect them to make it.
I believe it's their strength of schedule, and it's not even close because the
Oh, wow.
ACC has been so relative to years past, so weak.
Yep.
Only getting, I believe, 3 bids this year.
Mhm.
Duke, Louisville, and Clemson. So
UNC?
4 bids. See, my mind doesn't even include that, but we'll get to that later. But their strength of schedule wasn't even close, not close enough to justify its inclusion. I believe it was outside of the top 50, which for a Duke team, obviously very unusual. Usually they run through the gauntlet of the ACC, but not the conference that it's been in years past. So that leaves us with Auburn and Florida.
That's really exciting for me personally. I have a feeling I might know who I want to win the championship, but I'll leave it to the viewer to decide which way I'm
He wants
leaning.
Miami to win. He wants Miami to win.
Bro thinks he's on the team. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that's great to hear. Now, thank you for the analysis of the contenders. We do need to talk about something important though, and you just brought it up. The North Carolina Tar Heels are in a first 4 game. They're a 12 seed. Am I wrong? And they don't deserve it. So, do you want to tell us why you don't think they deserve it?
I think the West Virginia governor said it best today. One of the funniest conferences I have ever watched in my entire life. For those of you who don't know, the West Virginia governor got on the podium today and was talking basketball with all of his constituents in the state of West Virginia. He's throwing out quad 1 game statistics. He's throwing out bracketology terms. It was pretty incredible to watch. But I think he said it best. Quote, "This was a miscarriage of justice and robbery at the highest level." I'm disgusted. I'm appalled that UNC got into the field. There's no reason for it. You can throw out the obvious, all of the things that have been discussed recently. 1-12 in quad 1 games. When you have the opportunity to win at the highest level, and you prove continuously, over and over and over again, that you cannot get it done, you simply don't belong in the NCAA tournament. Against the field, they only have 2 wins out of 12 opportunities. One of them was against American, which only qualified as an AQ because they won their conference tournament. UCLA and American are their only 2 wins against the field the entire year in 12 opportunities.
Wow.
Makes it 100 times worse when you realize that the chair of the selection committee is UNC's athletics director, Bubba Cunningham, and he earns an additional month's salary totaling over $100,000 for UNC making the NCAA tournament.
Insider trading, but an NCAA?
It literally is insider
Oh my
trading.
God.
And he had the audacity to get on air after snubbing the team that we'll talk about in just a minute and telling all of the viewers on Selection Sunday that he had no power over this decision for UNC getting in because he couldn't be in the room when they were talking about UNC, as if he wasn't interacting with all of his colleagues every single day for, Lord knows how long throughout the process of the selection committee making these choices.
Everyone else works for him. He's the head of the committee. You don't
Right.
think they would, him running North Carolina would sway their vote a little bit? Oh, I don't know, man.
Yeah, what a ridiculous notion to put forward, according to Bubba Cunningham, UNC's athletics director. But many people very upset about West Virginia, who would have been the team that would have gotten in over UNC. Many people feel that they were snubbed for several reasons. One, the inconsistency and logic of the committee is pretty telling. When they bring up as a point of emphasis that the ACC was a weaker conference this year, and that led to the underseeding of Louisville as an 8 seed, despite them being AP top 15 in the country. Many people were shocked by that. How are they going to put in a UNC team that underperformed in one of the weaker conferences in the entire nation? Further, the quad one wins thing, obviously 1-12. West Virginia was 6-1 in quad one games. They had 4 ranked wins against number 2 Iowa State, number 3 Gonzaga, and number 7 Kansas. I believe they were one of, I think it's less than 6 teams in the nation with multiple wins over top 10 opponents, and number 24 Arizona. They had a non-conference RPI of 24. So as far as you're concerned, if you're West Virginia, you did everything you possibly could have to get into the NCAA tournament. Their resume was pretty iron tight. In fact, 111 out of 111 bracketologists had them as a lock in the field. The first time I believe that's ever happened, and a team has not made it in. So pretty disgusting stuff. And the worst of all of it, in my opinion, is Bubba Cunningham getting on the selection show and saying that the injury to Tucker DeVree, one of West Virginia's best players, the son of their head coach, he's a phenomenal college basketball player, saying that his injury had an impact on why they were not selected. Tucker DeVree has not played basketball since Thanksgiving. He had no impact on their wins at number 2 Iowa State and number 7 Kansas, by the way, which they won at Fog Allen. You want a cool stat? In the entire history of Bill Self's coaching career, guess what winning percentage opposing teams have at Fog Allen on average? Or actually, not that. I'll phrase it differently. Guess how many wins a year Kansas gives up at Fog Allen during the Bill Self tenure on average?
1, 2 max.
I'm gonna guess, because this is clearly a low number, and they play like, I don't know, 15 or so. I'm gonna guess 2.
Seasons.
By the way, if you guys are curious, UNC is fighting for an 11 seed. They're playing San Diego State tomorrow night, 9 p.m. So tune in for that.
In 22 years at Kansas, Bill Self has averaged less than 1 loss a year at Fog Allen. There was a very long time in the Big 12 in which Bill Self had more regular season conference championships than losses at home.
Unbelievable.
They won, and West Virginia won there without Tucker DeVree. It's honestly disgusting that they would try and convince the viewer that this was anything other than UNC's athletic director and the committee doing a solid for the person that headed up the committee. And my heart goes out to West Virginia, who won't have the opportunity to compete at the highest level. It's really disgusting, the whole situation, and rightfully so. UNC is getting a lot of coverage, and not very positive coverage for the whole situation.
Understood. I just thought of another quick topic before we get into our bracket. I've saw something recently that the people that run the NCAA tournament are having really serious conversations about expanding it. Obviously, it's at 68 teams. Like, they're talking about expanding it to 72 or 76, which doesn't affect the structure except for more first 4 games, which wouldn't be the first 12 games, and every region would have play-in games. I don't like it at all. And most people, I think, see it as just a huge money grab, and the fact that big conferences would just have more teams in, and this doesn't really help anybody. Do you guys think the same thing?
I'm completely with you on that. It doesn't make any sense to me to add. The problem is that there has to be some kind of regulation to stop like people that are part of a school's like network, like actively like working there to be part of the committee that decides on who
That's
gets
important
in.
too. Yeah.
Like, I mean, you cannot. If Duke's chair, I mean, it's different because Duke is like, I mean, they're playing out of their minds, great. But if like Robert Morris and they're like chair of, I don't know, I picked a random school that to me is not going to win the tournament, and if they
I don't
had
know,
a
bro.
chair, oh sorry, guys,
Robert Morris snub right here.
The disrespect. Nobody asked for the Robert Morris disrespect.
Okay, well, if Robert Morris somehow proves me wrong, and they had a chair on the committee, and that's why they got like, it's like that cannot be a thing that we have in the NCAA. The assurance that what you do in the regular season, the months that you grind, the time you spend with a team, is even going to be worth it, needs to be there. Otherwise, teams are not going to want to compete in the slightest in the regular season because they're not going to think it matters. If they're a team that's like maybe aiming for that 12 to 16, like just kind of just snuck in slot, and they can't even guarantee they'll get in based on their own merits, that's not sad. I mean, that's sad. And adding teams is not going to help that.
I totally agree with that. And, what it does is it incentivizes teams to play easier schedules instead of, I mean, West Virginia didn't have to go out and get into a tournament where they were going to play, or it was either a tournament or schedule a game with Gonzaga. I mean, for most teams, that's a death sentence with how good Gonzaga has been this past decade. Why would they go do that now if they've seen that already? Scheduling a game like that might work against them, and expanding the field. I totally agree with what you said, Ramsey. It feels like a money grab. I think that you just got to listen to the old adage: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The NCAA tournament is one of the most perfect things that anybody has ever created. It is flawless. It's beautiful.
We could do a draft of the greatest inventions of mankind. Now I'm easily drafting it first or second round.
Absolutely. And why would you not? The kind of parody, the moments, the upsets that the NCAA tournament offers there's nothing like it in sports. It is by far, in a way, the best postseason of any sport, of any league, of any kind. I just don't understand why you would want to tamper with something like that,
I agree. We shouldn't touch it. And I also agree that even if we want to have those good discussions, we need to definitely fix this whole selection process before we even think about that. Yeah, maybe there's a world one day in our lives where obviously 14 of 16 SEC teams made the tournament this year. Maybe all 16 will one day. Don't count it out. SEC 500 in conference play, by the way. Crazy stuff.
Sorry, conference. Only 500 in conference play. Oh, that was so
Brother,
funny.
we are not scared. All right.
What do you mean, bro? We're gonna win the tournament.
Is Miami making NIT? I don't even know if they're good enough. They're
Dude,
not.
We don't even have 7 wins. We're making a trip to Cancun as a team, and that's it. And we're done.
Interesting NIT news, actually. Fox
this guy just said interesting and NIT in the same sentence.
Hold on.
Hear me out.
Unbelievable. All right, go ahead.
So non-interesting teams.
Dude.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, the NIT news, right.
So for the not in tournament enjoyers, there is a new postseason. The college basketball crown, funded by Fox and a couple other donors. They are trying to overtake the NIT as the place for the losers that don't make it to the NCAA tournament. They are offering some benefits such as paying for the team's travel and all of their associated expenses, and the winner of the tournament is supposed to get what is being rumored to be a pretty substantial NIL donation from the collected partners. So pretty interesting approach. I know that the NIT doesn't do any cash prizes or things of that nature, and a lot of schools actually lose money hosting NIT games. So if you look at the field for the NIT right now, there are only 2 non-mid majors, a Georgia Tech and I forget the other school, but the rest of them are all consisted of mid-majors. A lot of the larger draws of, again, the loser kind of group that wasn't good enough for the tournament is going to the college basketball crown. Shout out to UCF. Go get those that bag, boys. And so, that pretty interesting news for the people not in the tournament.
That is exciting. We'll be checking in on that.
Yeah.
But there's something more exciting, and that's what we're going to start right now. We would like to officially work on our March Madness bracket. We have a bunch of different stats pulled up, many that Dylan has consolidated and that we've taken from our favorite sources and guys on the internet. And we're just going to create a bracket together. We'll see how we feel about the different matchups. Maybe we'll just pick a crazy upset because we're in the zone, but maybe we'll just make a slightly more chalk one that you guys can give to your bracket groups. We're going to do our best, and it will be perfect. Of course,
Yep.
and
if it's not, we didn't make it.
Yeah, and if it's not, you didn't hear this from me. All right, we're gonna go region by region, and we all have the bracket pulled up. So let's just begin. South region, who you guys got? Auburn versus the winner of teams I don't even know.
Tough one. I'm going Auburn.
Tough choice.
Auburn versus Alabama State. Is there anything to be said about two Alabama teams? All right, guys. Okay. I do think that we need to do this in a timely manner. So let's not spend a lot of time on this game. Okay, Dylan, please share with us what you know about Louisville and this matchup versus Creighton.
So this next game is actually pretty big. Louisville, pretty shocking.
Did you say it's massive?
Oh, it's a massive game. That is something that I would say. So Louisville, very, very notable right now for a lot of people believing that they are highly, highly underseeded. In fact, looking at what's referred to as the S-curve, which is a metric for determining where a team is expected to be seeded versus where they actually are, and kind of calculating the difference between those two. Louisville as a team is expected to be around 17, the 17th overall seed in the tournament. Where they actually are is 29th. That's a difference of 12. They are the second most underseeded team. We'll get to the first a little bit later. So there are some pretty high expectations for this Louisville team, led by Chucky Hepburn, star guard. I believe he scores around 18 points per game for them and has been phenomenal. You always look for good guard play in March as something that can a team go to the distance? Can a team 16.2 points per game for measuring how far a team can go. However, the interesting thing here, if they can get by their tough first round matchup with Creighton, they will play number 1 Auburn, just 80 miles away from Louisville's campus. It will essentially be a home game for Louisville. A lot of people are very upset about this from Auburn, and a lot of bracketologists are very upset about this because geography is something that is absolutely taken into consideration. And as a 1 seed, you have earned the supposed easiest path to a certain point in the tournament.
Yep.
As a result of, the culmination of what you did during the season. The fact that they are potentially going to have to go into Rupp Arena, Kentucky's home arena, and play against Louisville in what I'm sure will be a very pro-Louisville crowd is not an easy ask. Having to beat a team that many people are saying is a consensus underseeded team with a pro-Louisville crowd in a place that's really supposed to be more of a neutral court. That's a very tough ask, and that'll be a very, very big storyline to monitor if Louisville can make it past Creighton.
Sounds good, but should we pick Louisville for that round? I'm liking them a lot, and we talk about how underseeded they are. And I'm 8-9 matchup. I'm sure it's an even one, but I'm ready to pick them.
And my mom went to Louisville, so
Oh, there we go.
Go Cardinals.
Easy. Louisville, by the way, favored in Vegas by 2.5 points. So that's usually what I look for in these 8-9 matchups. But yeah.
Okay, Michigan, UC, San Diego.
All right.
Ramsey, I know you have some takes on this.
Yeah, I just want to say something really quickly. I have watched a lot of videos. I've looked at every single 11, 12, 13, and 14 seed in this tournament for teams that can go far. The one I'm easily the most excited about, and I'm not alone in this, like I'm getting this idea from a lot of other people, is UC San Diego. This team was Division II about 5 years ago. Then they've been Division I for going on 4 years, and I think this is their 5th year. And they have a rule in collegiate basketball in Division I where you can't even make March Madness until your 5th year as a Division I team. And after getting upgraded, they made it, and the women's team made it. The men and women's USC San Diego basketball teams have both made it, and as you can see, they have a 30-4 record. They have done incredible things, and yes, obviously they're playing Michigan. Michigan is a objectively great team. I don't know, they might have some flaws. Dylan, you can add on to this, but when I look at UC San Diego, if you want to talk about that S curve Dylan mentioned, they are considered quite underseeded. And for a lot of matchups like this, I look for a really specific stat that might help me show a discrepancy in something. And one of those I like to look for is turnovers, right? And so let me tell you guys something. You want to talk about turnover rate? If you rank all 68 teams in the tournament by turnover rate, UC San Diego is the 5th best, which means they have the 5th lowest. Really good. They handle the ball well. And meanwhile, Michigan, 3rd worst. That is where I see this game being decided. Turnovers. I'm taking UC San Diego.
I'm with you.
Yeah. UC San Diego obviously getting a lot of love, and rightfully so. Interesting. It might have been Evan Maya's website. I believe that UC San Diego at the 12 line is their most or their highest 12 seed in terms of where they are. I believe that UC San Diego was their number 40 overall team. Their highest 12 seed ranking ever that they have ever had. So I found that to be pretty interesting. And the last year, I believe it was Grand Canyon University that they were touting as the same sort of situation, and they ended up winning a game in the NCAA tournament. I really like this UC San Diego team. Like you said, with the turnover matchups, Michigan has been super turnover prone all year. They don't really take care of the ball that well. They are led, honestly, their offense is driven by Danny Wolf, a sort of Nikola Jokic-like player. I'm very excited to see how he performs in the NCAA tournament. 7 feet tall, handles the ball extremely well, can step out and make the three, all 3-level scorer, and a phenomenal facilitator for his height. He's also a pretty young player, so he'll probably be back next year, but a lot of shades of Nikola Jokic in his game. The only thing that I worry about with UC San Diego here is how they hold up inside. They're going to have to contend with Vlad Golden, a player on that FAU team that made a very deep run a couple years ago in the tournament. I believe he's 7'2". He's a monster inside, great touch, very physical player, as well as Danny Wolf. The two combination of those players, if they can manage to keep them out of the paint and create enough turnovers to, take the game and play at their pace, I think that they have a great opportunity to win this game, and I think that they will. I'm picking UC San Diego for the upset.
That's exciting. All right. Next one. This is a also fairly common upset pick, and not as common, but I am seeing a lot of people say that Yale is a team to look out for. They just won the Ivy League tournament, right? They have some incredible shooters. I forget his name. Do you remember the Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year on their team? I'll check in a sec. But they're playing Texas A&M, of course, an SEC powerhouse, 4 seed. We've seen UF play them multiple times. I don't know if I'm ready to make a decision on this yet. Do you guys have something that would help us?
No.
I mean,
but when all else fails, go with the spread. The spread says Texas A&M by 7.5.
That's pretty fair.
Texas A&M's a pretty physical team, pretty great defensive team, and they're going to try and run you off your spot. Whatever you do well offensively, they're pretty good at screwing you up pretty well. But on offense, they're just a really, really hard team to watch when Wade Taylor III is not playing well. And I don't know how to feel about them. Maybe we leave this one for now.
All right. I do want to say Bez Mbang. He's the Defensive Player of the Year, and he's a great player for y'all, right? But I honestly think I'm leaning towards Texas A&M. I'm just I'm not trying to be too upset happy. And there were two graphs that I was creating on the CBB Analytics website that's made Texas A&M stand out to me. One thing is rebounding. Rebounding is infinitely important in the tournament. If you make a graph showing defensive rebounding percentage by offensive rebounding percentage, Texas A&M is the best offensive rebounding team in the country. They are literally at the top. So, like, it's pretty deadly. And also, if you take a look at something else, which is really important, which is free throws, I think in the tournament, hitting your free throws really matters. Like, you guys want to talk about that Oral Roberts team from a few years ago. They, going into the tournament, they were a 15 seed, but if you look back, they were one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country. Anyway, free throw attempt rate, Texas A&M is like third or fourth, so they get to the line a lot. If you want to talk about the percentage, though, it's about average, maybe a little lower. So I don't know if it matters that much, but they do draw fouls like crazy. So I'm looking at a couple of stats that excite me, and I'm fine with just picking Texas A&M. I respect the spread.
I'm fine with going that. When in doubt, trust good guards in March, and Wade Taylor III is one of the best you'll find.
Yeah, I used to live in Connecticut though, and I didn't like the Yale campus, so that's another reason.
We got to find an emotional reason to hate on whatever team we don't pick every single time. Have to.
It's depressing,
sure.
dude.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You want to do this one?
Nah, you got us. Give us the next. You can lead us to the next four.
Well, I mean,
guys, the first one.
We all take an SCCSU.
The first one's a little tough, right? Because we have San Diego State versus North Carolina, two recently very successful teams now fighting for a play-in. Everybody hates UNC, but Dylan, is UNC actually a bad team?
As much as I hate to say it, as soon as you're into the tournament, all of the other stuff can get thrown out the window. UNC is an extremely talented team. They have the makeup of a team that was thought to be very highly rated going into the season. Obviously, they disappointed. But UNC is coming into this tournament winning 8 of their last 10. Those only 2 losses, both to the number 1 overall team in the entire country in Duke at the end of the season and in the ACC tournament. They're one of the hottest teams in the country right now. And as much as I hate to say it, they are absolutely a team that is underseeded if you look at the S-curve. I'll get the specific number sometime.
If you look at Evan Maya's underseeded metric, he has the fact that North Carolina has a relative rating that is 4.6 above what they should be at an 11 seed. And so that's his metric for underseeding, meaning they're the 4th most underseeded tournament, or underseeded team in the tournament.
Yeah, so I think that UNC has the talent, has the guard play. RJ Davis, I mean, he's been at every level of college basketball. He has played in a national championship.
How long has this man been here, man?
It's exhausting.
Oh my God.
It reminds me of Armando Bacot, his old teammate. People thought that guy was like 40 years old in college. But experience wins. That's the bottom line. Experience wins. Talent finds a way to win. And this UNC team, even though they've disappointed, even with questions about the coaching of Hubert Davis, has talent. I think that they're a team that we should look at heavily for the upset of Ole Miss, which at a 6 seed, I'm not sure about Ole Miss. They've left a lot of questions during this year. They have a great coach in Chris Beard, and have an extremely talented guard. I think his name is Pradula or something along those lines. He's been phenomenal all year, but this is a closer game than a lot of people wish it may have been.
Well, I came up to UF about a week and a half ago, and I actually saw Ole Miss play UF with Ramsey and one of our other friends. And I believe it was that guard that airballed his first shot, and the whole everyone was yelling airball whenever he got the ball. It was a lot of fun. But the thing that I noticed is it's the same. Whenever you have a team that relies solely on the play of one guy in a tournament like this, it's high stakes. We're not going to 5 or we're not going to 7. It's one game, and you don't. Ole Miss didn't scream like a physical defense the way that you need usually to win a bracket system, tournament. So yeah, and if I mean like what you're saying about UNC being underseeded and they have talent and youth, and again it's a one game thing. It could totally be a fluke, and Ole Miss could be out. I could totally see this going the way of UNC, and I'm inclined to vote towards that because what I saw from Ole Miss was not uh, definitely not favorable for them.
It's very risky, though. We don't even know if UNC is winning their game against San Diego State. Rajan, could you check the line on that game for me real quick?
Sure, the
But
line. Wait, sorry.
but like, assuming they do win, with the momentum you talk about, Dylan, I totally see that carrying them to a win against Ole Miss, and then we'll talk about the next round. But for now, if we had to choose between either or Ole Miss, do you guys just want to pick the 11 seed?
The line is UNC 4.5. It's not a huge line, but I mean it's significant enough that I'd be willing to bet that UNC is going to win, and if that's the case, I'm taking them over Ole Miss.
I'd be willing to do it as well. I think that they're just gonna piss everyone off, and they're gonna go on a little bit of a run. Maybe not super far in the tournament, but for a lot of people believing that they didn't deserve to be there in the first place, I'm sure many would be upset if they go on to be SDSU and then potentially Ole Miss. But
How many
I'd be fine with
tournaments
picking them.
ago? How many tournaments ago was it where North Carolina was in the first four and made the Final Four?
It would have been Paolo Banchero's year. So what was the year he was drafted to the Magic?
2022.
I think it was 2022. Oh, okay, that year. Well, yeah. So we've seen that exact thing happen before. I don't think I had them winning that first game in my bracket. So yeah, you never know. All right, let's just pick the 11 seed, have some fun. Okay, next up. Any discussion, Lipscomb, anything interesting? Because I'm ready to move on.
Lipscomb's winning,
Iowa
guys.
State.
All right, let's move on. We can also jump to Michigan State Bryant. Let's just pick Michigan State there. I haven't really seen anything about Bryant. I heard recently they had a pretty good streak. But all right, anyway, Marquette versus New Mexico. Marquette was pretty highly ranked at the beginning of the season, right? Like they were serious 2 seed, 3 seed talks about them. What do you think? Why do you think they've fallen? And is it possible that they drop out this quick?
Well, Marquette has underperformed in some of the bigger games that they've played this season. They have losses to Iowa State, UConn, St. John's 3 times, Creighton, and then UConn again. So in the games that they've had real opportunity to show the kind of team that they are, they've disappointed. They're led by a super good player in Cam Jones. I'm sure he will be one of the best players in the tournament if they end up making some noise. He's averaging 19.3 points per game on 6 assists a game as well. He really is the motor of this team. He runs things for them. But they've really disappointed in big opportunities that they've had this year. I'm not really sure what to make of this Marquette team, but I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about New Mexico besides their star player, Donovan Dent, is a scoring machine. He's averaging 20.6 points per game on the season. He's an absolute monster. I really don't know.
I've been seeing that Marquette's going to have to rely a lot on their main guy, Cam Jones, and that they have a really big drop in production when you look at the bench. So I don't know, though. Honestly, like I haven't seen something particularly exciting about New Mexico, but that's a pretty fair upset pick, I think.
I think the other thing is that, I mean, New Mexico is top 25 in defensive efficiency, and you guys know how I feel about defense. That is the biggest thing to me. If you can have a defensive team and you can make shots in clutch situations, you will come out of at least the first round with a win. And, I mean, they're not on the losing streak that Marquette is on. Marquette, I mean, their record looks awful. I find it hard to go against the hot hand, especially when you have a defensive-minded team, and that's a team that can just put some clamps on. No matter how great Cam Jones is, I just don't trust Marquette to be able to recover from the losing streak in one game in March Madness against a good defensive team and the scoring. I mean, Donovan Dent is a monster. That's more points per game than Cooper Flagg, right? Cooper Flagg's averaging 19 something. I mean, granted, it's Duke, but like That's pretty significant to be a whole point in averages ahead of the best player in college basketball consensus.
Some other quick stats. New Mexico is second in the tournament in percent of points from fast break, and also third in the tournament in percent of points from the paint. So they operate a lot in those areas. And I'm just finding something to pick on Marquette. They're bottom 7 in the tournament in bench points per game, like I just mentioned. But they also seem to do a great job of forcing turnovers. They're fourth in the league in points off of turnovers. So honestly, you can pick and choose. This is a coin flip for me. I'm happy to pick New Mexico to follow the patterns of the double-digit seeds. What do you guys think?
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm good with it. It looks like from their scoring map, they don't particularly shine in any one area. They're not a team that shoots the three super heavily, at least by their scoring. They also really don't shoot it in the paint that well. They have a great paint defense. They limit teams to over minus 10% the Division I field goal average within the paint, and are pretty good at guarding within the 3-point line as well. I don't know. Seems like a good upset pick. There's not really any reason here to believe in Marquette, and New Mexico has some pretty good wins. I'm okay with picking them.
Alrighty, so let's move. Now that we have an idea of all our teams, hopefully we can move a bit faster as we finish this region. So let's just pick all of these second round games. Auburn, Louisville. We talked a lot about Louisville, how good of a team they are, right? And also, I know you brought up the stat about the contender, dude, but I hate Auburn. I hate them, and I want them to lose. And frankly, they are cold. Lost 3 of their last 4. They flamed out of the SEC tournament. This is the type of game where a 1 seed just falls flat on their face. And I don't know the stats on all 1 seeds making the Sweet 16, but I know it actually is not that common in recent history. But whatever. Auburn is the number 1 overall team. I'm almost tempted to pick Louisville, though. Should I?
I'm
Or do you guys
almost with
think?
you on that.
But
Because I think the factors means the fans. Like 80, you said 80 miles from where Louisville's
yes.
campus is.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
That's a huge deal. That's massive. I mean, like
That is
it's
massive.
very likely that at least 3/4 of that stadium is going to be Louisville fans, and they're on a hot streak. It's Auburn. This is a big deal. When's the last time Louisville won the national championship?
I don't know,
I
like
think you
15
would
years
have to
ago,
go
20 years
back
ago.
to Rick
The fact that we don't
Pitino.
know is enough to me to say that these fans want something. They're desperate for it.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably say the same thing about Auburn, dude. Like,
That's true.
not that neither of these teams are super storied, but some even would call Louisville a blue blood. So I wouldn't, but like, I'm excited by the pick. That's all I can say. I don't know if y'all are. Dylan, do you think it's unsafe?
There's so much to love about this Louisville pick, and if it seems like right now, if any 1 seed is going to lose, that it might be Auburn. However, this Auburn team reminds me so much of the story of Virginia a couple years back.
Oh,
Virginia, a 1 seed, comes into the tournament, suffers the first 1v16 seed loss ever against UMBC. Devastating loss for their program. They returned most of their players, had another phenomenal season next year, were extremely highly motivated by that previous tournament appearance, and they ended up winning it all that next season. Auburn, Chad Baker-Mazara last year gets a idiot ejection, as Chad Baker-Mazara always seems to do. Janiah Broome, all of those players on last year's team go down to Yale. We thought Auburn was heavily underseeded last year. Many people thought that they were a great pick to make a huge tournament run, and then their hopes ended instantly to Yale, of all teams.
My guy Ryan Hammer, he was hyped them up so much, talked about how they were contenders, so I picked them to win it all, and they were a 4 seed, and they lost in the first
and
day.
then
So.
lost in the first round. I feel
But
like
I
Janiah Broome.
I
feel
respect
like he's
that
the
a
player
lot.
of the year.
Yeah, he when you have the best player on the floor, that speaks volumes, and so it's fine. I'm happy to pick Auburn. But But I agree. And yeah, shout out to that 29 Virginia Cavaliers team. And I was actually going to say, like, we talk about the Nova Knicks, but what about the Virginia Cavs? But that is the Cavs. The Cleveland and Virginia Cavs, DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome. Okay, never mind. Somebody's
Good
probably
try,
already
bro.
figured that out.
No, for sure.
Thanks, man. Okay. San Diego versus Texas A&M. As I said, I really like San Diego to make the Sweet 16. So I'm
good
happy
with
to
that.
I'm happy to pick them. But I did describe many of Tamu's strengths. Like, this is not a team to disrespect. It's just the fact that I'm pretty high on this UCSD team. So anything else?
Texas A&M lost to UCF, and UCF unfortunately is not a good basketball team. Go UC San Diego.
Okay, that's good.
Oh, and also my friend went to UCF. He's on the podcast right now. So gotta go to San Diego.
Good call. Good call.
I don't know who he's talking about, but okay. Rajan, are you picking the 2 seed and the 3 seed in that right there, or are you feeling different?
Where are we?
Bro, we're still in the same region, man. Are you picking Iowa State and Michigan State, or do you think they'll be upset?
Oh, I know what happened. I accidentally put Lipscomb. Yeah, I made a joke about Lipscomb winning, and I actually put them. Okay. Well, obviously,
it's gonna be so sad when Lipscomb goes on to win in the first round, and you're like, you gotta be kidding me!
I told you.
At least we'll have proof. You can clip it. You can clip the 4 seconds of you making the joke before we laugh, and then tell everybody you're a prophet. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, obviously, we're taking Iowa State over SDSU or UNC. I mean, I'm thinking it's going to be UNC, but Iowa State just looks too good. I don't think there's any way. I don't think there's any way that UNC comes in and I don't know. I mean, I guess there's always a way. It's a March Madness tournament, but this is not the upset that I would be picking. I'm very much more inclined to stick to the seeding here, if for lack of better terms.
Do you have a reason to be wary of Iowa State though, Dylan? You were doing some injury research.
So there are a couple of reasons to be very weary of Iowa State this year, and it all has to deal with injuries. So Iowa State will be without Keyshawn Gilbert, one of the best guards in the Big 12. He averaged 13.4 points per game, but mainly his strength was being the engine of this Iowa State offense. The main facilitator, led the team in assists. He was the primary ball handler for this team. And Tamin Lipsey, their secondary ball handler, averaging 10.8 points per game, a phenomenal player as well, also has an injury designation right now. He is expected to miss the first round. Keyshawn Gilbert will unfortunately be out for the rest of the season, but Tamin Lipsey is expected to miss the first round of the tournament. If he is able to return for that second round, what is his health going to look like? And that's a very big reason for concern if both of Iowa State's primary ball handlers are not going to be with them. With that being said, TJ Otzelberger, if you guys haven't seen a picture of Iowa State's coach, go ahead and look up a picture of Iowa State's coach. He might be the most juiced head coach in the history of basketball. He is a massive guy, phenomenal coach, has turned around this Iowa State program. And, you know, they're a phenomenal team on defense. They're a team that can absolutely shut you down, make you super uncomfortable. And when they're scoring, they're one of the best teams in the nation. And I trust the weapons that Iowa State has built for this team. Hoping that Tamin Lipsey is healthy, I think that gets them the win over UNC. I don't really have a lot of faith in this UNC team. We've already discussed why. But I'm going to give the nod to Iowa State.
Let's do that then. Yeah, let's do that. And then we have Michigan State. And so in our Sweet 16, we have our 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, and 12 seed. And in all honesty, that's a pretty normal looking like Sweet 16. You just have a bunch of great teams and then one random team that squeaked in. And so I'm going to pick Auburn over San Diego. Anyone disagree?
Yeah, I think the Cinderella run ends here. Sorry, UC San Diego.
It was a great run.
And now for a tough one. can you give some advice on Iowa State, Michigan State? Because I know these are two great teams. I know Michigan State on KenPom is ranked 8th in the country. Iowa State is 10th. But they have pretty similar offensive and defensive ratings. I don't know if there's anything that can help us make this decision. It's quite a coin flip.
I think this one comes down to two things, and that's going to be health of the Iowa State team and them being limited without Keyshawn Gilbert, and coaching. TJ Otzelberger is a phenomenal coach, but there's a reason that Tom Izzo is nicknamed Mr. March. Michigan State's head coach has been there, done that. I believe that he, out of all of that might change with Rick Pitino now, but I believe that he has the most Final Four appearances out of any of the coaches left in the field. I'll need to be fact checked on that against Bill Self and John Calipari and Rick Pitino. But he's gained the nickname for a reason. Tom Izzo has these Michigan State teams ready to play in March, and there's a reason for that. The identity that he instills in these teams, the toughness, the defense that they play with, is something that is normally too much for teams to overcome, especially this year when they have the offensive talent that previous year's teams have been missing, with guys like the ultra-talented freshman Jace Richardson. He's only averaging 12 points per game. Sounds a little slimmer on the star-studded side of things, but he is a freshman who, when he gets going, and he has really taken on the role of the leader of this team on offense down the stretch, is just an absolute flamethrower and can really score at all three levels. So in this game, because of Keyshawn Gilbert being out for the season, because of Tom Izzo, been there, done that sort of thing, I would go with Michigan State, but it's a close one. Iowa State will be ready. Iowa State is very well coached. I don't think it's an easy game for either team.
And I just pulled up the stats. Tom Izzo, out of all active coaches, has the most Final Four appearances, and it's not close. He has 8. The next is Rick Pitino. So
Rick Pitino, yeah.
I mean and Rick Pitino has 5. So this is this is an experienced squad, and experience is usually a great thing to judge whether. I mean, these are both great teams, and I think if Iowa State was healthy, this would be a much harder debate. But when your leading scorer is out, you got to shift the minutes around. It's hard to do that before a tournament. I think it's too risky to pick them.
By the way, actually, if you want 2 small reasons why to pick Iowa State, one, though their coach is more experienced, if you actually look at the roster experience in the tournament, I have a graph here by Ryan Hammer showing roster continuity versus experience. I'll share it with you guys in that document we got. And it just shows like, have the players been together for years? That's the continuity scale. And then also, have the players been playing at, I think like tournament level, conference tournament, maybe March Madness level competition. And Iowa State is in a pretty great region in the top right, whereas Michigan State is just in the middle. It's a little lower in the experience scale. So, but they do have a great coach. And then another reason to really like them, I am a big fan of this metric created by Evan Maya called the kill shot. And it measures in different games teams that allow 10-0 runs and also go on 10-0 runs. Because when you watch March Madness all the time, there are these moments where a team is just lighting it up from 3 and they're getting blocks and the entire stadium is behind them. And that, if you just look at 10-0 runs, i.e. kill shots allowed, and then you take the amount that you get and then you subtract the amount that you allow, this kill shot margin thing, Iowa State is 3rd in the country. Like, that's a pretty good metric for how they allow runs and stop them. The 2 teams above them are Duke and Texas A&M. So shout out to Texas A&M. We might have disrespected them a bit. Yes. Also behind them is Yale. So low key, like, I'm seeing this and I'm like, okay, well, this does not align with our previous logic. But that's why Texas A&M versus Yale is such a really hard game to choose. I'm wondering what that's going to be like. But I'm out, honestly, let's just pick Michigan State and kind of forget about it. I agree with y'all's explanation, unless you guys, have a change of heart.
Also, it just bringing up a couple of small statistics in favor of Michigan State. They, as a percentage of their total points, lead the nation in bench points. 43.6% of their points comes from their bench. They're a very deep team. They're a team that doesn't shoot a lot of threes. They are in the bottom 10 of 3-point percentage in the field of 68. But they are a team that pushes the tempo a lot. They are one of the highest scoring teams off fast breaks, and they also get to the line the most and are one of the most efficient free throw shooting teams in the field of 68. So those are some good things to look at in terms of their depth, their ability to get out and run, and their ability to draw contact and get to the free throw line.
Awesome. So I guess we're gonna have the 1-2 matchup, and then are we picking the 2 seed? I already foreshadow us picking a couple other 1 seeds. So, and obviously it's nerve wracking to have this many 1 seeds. Is this where we avoid it, or do you look at this number 1 overall team and you look at the best player in the country and you say, nah, don't overthink it? Dylan, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is going to have to be following what the data that we had earlier was saying, and Michigan State is one of those 2 seeds that are not in the KenPom parameters that we were analyzing for a national champion or I think that it's so difficult because on paper Auburn is so talented and I mean completely healthy, and there's really no reason to believe that besides losing 3 of their last 4 that they're still not the most dominant team in the country after, all the crazy records that they were setting in the regular season. I have to go with Auburn. I can't go against them. It's too difficult.
Rajan, you like that pick?
I'm completely with you.
All right. Well, that is our first region done. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to continue working and try to go a bit faster with these other regions. And we'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. The hood's off. We're checking out the West right now, and I got to ask the 2 Gator guys over here, who do you think is going to win between number 1 Florida and number 16 Norfolk State? It's a hard decision to me. I'm really debating right now.
As you should, my man. The Florida Gators, honestly, they're frauds. And I've always spoken about Norfolk State. I've been the biggest Norfolk State proponent. Like, you'll never meet a guy that loves Norfolk State more than me. By the way, I do want to mention this. If you look at Evan Maya's underseeded metric, like somehow Norfolk State is the 3rd most underseeded team, and that is kind of terrifying because I don't want a slightly difficult 16-1 matchup. But let's not spend any more time talking about this. Dylan, you got a pick for this one?
Go Gators.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, so we're going to pick that, and then the next one. Wow. Hey, so Dylan, you will be traveling to Raleigh, North Carolina, and watching this game and the Florida game in person. So what do you expect to see for UConn, Oklahoma?
Big game. Just to keep this one quick, I mean, you don't just sit down the back-to-back national champions in the first round. I'm going to trust Dan Hurley on this one, even though I think that he's a little over-exaggerated sometimes in the way that he coaches. But again, championship experience, championship coaching, I'm going to give them the nod. Not really much else to it than that.
I would too. I haven't been excited about Oklahoma as an SEC team at all. And UConn ranks still highly on all the metrics. They still have incredible talent. And they underperformed, but they have the experience. And before the season, they were I don't know if they were first ranked like before the season started, obviously with all the experience, but they were definitely up there. So
all I can think about is that Dude Perfect college or March Madness stereotypes video, and Ty and Garrett are upset about Oklahoma being awful. It's going to be the same thing this year.
I respect it. Okay, so now we are looking at 2 potential upset picks that I've also been seeing people talk about. Do you guys like Colorado State over Memphis? I know Colorado State is on a heater right now from what I've heard. And is there anything to be scared of about Memphis, Dylan?
So Memphis is going to be missing their many people believe to be their second best player in I cannot find his. I believe TJ Haggerty is good to go, or PJ Haggerty is good to go. Their best player, but they're going to be missing their second best player. His name is
Tyrese Hunter.
escaping me right now. Yes, Tyrese Hunter. Um, one of their best scoring guards, one of the better players on their team. Thanks for the assist on that one, Rajan.
No,
And
he knows him off the top of his head, bro. He definitely does not have the tab
Yeah,
open
I
right
did
now.
not look that up at all,
He-
guys. I have no stats at all. This is just
he's a
off the
ball
dome.
knower. He's an absolute ball knower. This Memphis team.
The biggest American conference fan I know. Go ahead, bro.
Oh yeah, big American Conference guy. But Penny Hardaway's squad is the most overseeded team according to the metrics that I'm looking at.
Wow.
Seeded 17 spots above where they were expected to be at 37th. Their actual is 20th. There really seems to be a lot of questions about this Memphis squad. I could absolutely see PJ Haggerty going off and dropping 40 and powering Memphis past this first round by himself. But there are a lot of questions to be had with this Memphis team. And even if they get out of the first game, I don't think they get out of the first weekend of the tournament.
You know, we can talk about stats all we want, but I'm going to give you guys one figure. There are 32 games coming in the first 2 days of March Madness, and we have a lot of higher seeds and we have a lot of lower seeds. And in 31 of the games, the lower seed or better team is favored. The only other game is this game. This 5 seed versus 12 seed game. Colorado State is favored in Vegas by 2.5. That is such a massive margin for a 5 versus 12, and I think it's because of the injury you described. It's just, I'm taking Colorado State. Like, when I see something like that, I'm like, there's got to be a reason for that, you know?
Yeah. And this is good bracket damage control as well, because even if they happen to make it past the first round, this is a team you would expect to lose in the second round. It's not going to hurt your bracket too much to take them out in the first round. They're not a team that anybody is expecting based on the metrics to go very far. I'll go with Colorado State.
Completely with it. All right, Maryland, Grand Canyon. What are we thinking?
I got Maryland.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they're underseeded. I'm pretty sure they're a Final Four level team for a lot of people. I'm not sure there's a lot of discussion. I don't think this is a good upset pick.
Derek Queen, go Maryland, go Terps.
Okay, so for Missouri versus Drake, I mean, I'm more of a Kendrick guy, so I really don't want to,
Dude, you stole my joke. I swear to God.
Lamar snubbed from the tournament this year.
Oh my goodness, we could have had Drake versus Lamar. I used to like Drake, you know.
It's so dumb.
I mean, he was number 1 on my Spotify Wrapped years back, but I've kind of moved past the guy. And obviously, I don't like keep picking SEC fans. Maybe some people are just SEC fans in general. But there was one thing about Drake that I hated. I'm trying to find the figure right now, like something that was absolutely miserable. And oh yeah, here it is. I talked about that continuity versus experience graph. Drake has the least tournament experience of every team in the country and like the third worst continuity, which means their team was like bought through the transfer portal or they're a bunch of freshmen. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is not happening. I'm taking Missouri.
So there are some pretty interesting things about this Drake team, and I'm not sure if these metrics factor in the Drake story, but this team is making headlines, and they have been throughout the entire season, because head coach Ben McCollum and the quartet of Bennett Sturts, Daniel Abreu, Mitch Muscari, and Isaiah Jackson left Northwest Missouri State, a Division II school,
Oh my
for
goodness.
Drake.
You're so right.
In their 2 years at Northwest Missouri State, they went 31-3 and 29-5 before following their head coach to Drake. And they've made some pretty substantial noise. There's a lot not to like about this team. On offense, they don't wow you. On defense, they don't wow you. But this team wins by controlling the pace of the game. They are the slowest adjusted pace team in college basketball, and it's not even close. There's a perfect graph that I have in my head. I wish I had it up right now that displays it, but I mean, I'm talking leagues and leagues of separation between their pace and the next team. And what that does for them is teams playing against them average the least field goals of any team in college basketball, like when they're going up against them. So they limit team shots, they take good shots, they play smart basketball, and they're powered by the duo of Sturts and Abreu, which they call themselves the Splash Bros of college. So some pretty interesting stuff to watch there. This would for sure be a March Madness Cinderella kind of team, like one shining moment sort of group. But Missouri's really good. And Missouri probably has one of the best offenses in the entire nation. Does Drake slow them down enough? Does Drake get Missouri to play at their pace and take them out of their own game? I'll leave that to you guys.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. If you scroll down to our doc, I put that figure, The Trapezoid of Excellence by Ryan Hammer. Drake does have by far the lowest pace number in that entire graph, and Missouri's just in the middle of the bunch. And usually it's very good for a team to be in the middle with pace because that means they're adaptable, right? So Drake arguably is not adaptable, but then Ryan always says, like, you look at teams that are on the way opposite ends because then they force teams to play a certain style, like Alabama, for example, in recent years with their incredibly high pace, carrying them far into the tournament. So there's something to be said about this team. I guess I was underestimating them. My mom would look at this bracket and be like, wow, they have 30 wins. I'm picking them. And that's not a bad idea. Rajan, do you have any preference, or are you sticking with Mizzou?
Well, I'm sticking with Mizzou, but I'll give you a reason why. The other thing is that they're very accurate shooting the ball, and I mean, stats usually tend to keep themselves consistent in a tournament, and so even if Drake is able to force less shots, they're still going to be accurate. And Mizzou is also one of the best free throw shooting teams in all of college basketball. Their guard Tamar Bates has only missed 5 in the whole season. So,
oh my God,
wow!
if they can play a physical game, drive, get to the line, and use that aspect of their game where literally it's a free throw, like Drake cannot do anything about it. I'm expecting this to be Drake's one dance in the tournament, and
oh my God, dude!
I'm thinking that they're gonna need to pipe down after this one, so I'm picking Mizzou.
Good pick. Good pick.
Their hotline is blinging. Am I right, guys? It might be God's plan. Okay, we're done.
You can say their family doesn't. The family doesn't. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Let's pick Texas.
No. We don't have to do this one. Everyone stop talking. We're picking Texas Tech, and we're moving on to Kansas, Arkansas. We are not. I'm not picking. I don't care if UNC Wilmington wins the whole thing. We're not doing this.
I promise I had nothing to say. Texas Tech is probably the best 3 seed. Do you agree, Dylan? That's what I've been seeing by the metrics.
I absolutely agree. When they're healthy, they're a top 5 team in college basketball when they're healthy. JT Toppin, Chase McMillan, all those guys. I mean, they get buckets. They play some of the best defense in the country as well when they're up to it. They make every game just an absolute dogfight. They're really good. Their only question is, will they be healthy?
So we'll keep that in mind. And now we look at these bottom 2 games, and Dylan, I want you to talk a little bit about what is so interesting about 3 of these 4 teams.
This is one of the best coaching matchups we have ever seen in the tournament, and it's all coming in the first couple of games, all within the first weekend. Between Kansas and Arkansas, you have 2 coaches in Coach Cal, obviously long time at Kentucky, put a ton of different players in the NBA, and Bill Self at Kansas. Between the coaches, Self has 2 national championships, 4 Final Fours, 21 regular season conference championships, and a winning percentage above 76. Cal boasts 1 national championship, 6 Final Fours, 18 conference championships, and a career winning percentage above 76. This is a coaching masterclass. The problem is, these are probably 2 of the worst teams that these respective coaches have fielded in a very long time. As far as Kansas standards go, started as the preseason number 1 team in the country, and they just have not lived up to it. Hunter Dickinson is always a phenomenal player, but there have been other disappointments around their roster. I know many people expected AJ Storr, the talented transfer from Wisconsin, to make a much bigger impact. He didn't even crack the starting roster for Kansas this year. And then Coach Cal, year number 1 at Arkansas, they are pretty putrid to watch on offense. They have a lot of unique struggles, and I feel like they more so got the nod for this tournament just because they're in the SEC, which it's a great conference and has obviously deserved the spot, but not really very impressive teams. And then the winner of that matchup will more than likely play Rick Pitino with 2 national championships, 7 Final Fours, 14 conference championships, a 74% winning percentage across his career, and the only coach in the history of college basketball to win a conference championship with 5 different schools. Coaching in March matters, and you really couldn't ask for much better than these 3 coaches. Sorry, our Omaha. It's kind of unfortunate that they get the sad end of this, but really good coaching within this pod here.
Do you guys want to guess the line for Arkansas versus Kansas?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take Kansas by 2.5.
I'd say Kansas by 3.5. I think that
you guys are both correct that it's Kansas, but it's by 4.5.
Wow.
Oh wow.
For a tournament game, that's pretty steep, and I think that makes sense.
I'm definitely taking Kansas there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this next one's going to be a really tough matchup. St. John's is going to win, I think.
Fun story about Omaha. After all of their games, for some reason, they go into their locker room. They find a trash can, and they start beating the trash can black and blue. For some reason, I tried to research how this tradition started, and I literally couldn't find anything besides the coaches saying that it got the guys fired up. So I can only imagine the coaches walked into the locker room pissed one day and started kicking on a trash can, and the rest of the guys were like, "Yeah, this is great stuff." And then they went out there and they won the game. And I guess it just continued ever since after that. So there's a little fun
this
fact.
This school has nothing to do with Peyton Manning, right?
Omaha. Man.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
They're getting punted out of the round of 64, unfortunately.
In some alternate universe, Peyton Manning says St. John's. But not this one.
In some alternate universe, Peyton Manning says Lotte Buffet when he does a snap. So anyways, I wanted to mention something else about betting now that we're into the next round of the tournament. Because you guys know I'm a avid
money loser.
A hot line.
Please, for the love of God.
Who do you guys think?
This segment is sponsored by FanDuel, by the way.
Guys, you can only lose up to 100% of what you put in, but you can win more than 1,000.
So true.
Okay, who do you guys think is most likely to win the West region?
Betting odds? Well, Florida.
And it's not close.
Florida.
I saw something about. Wait. It might have been a different region. I'll go with Florida because it makes sense. But there was one region where the 1 seed is not actually favored to win.
Is that? I mean,
I'm guessing that's the one with Houston because I've seen that they might not be in the top 4 of overall championship odds. But I'll check. Things have been shifting pretty fast.
Houston is actually still the favorite, but it's not by as much. It's not as much. Actually, I believe the only one that all the 1 seeds are favored. Florida's favored by minus 125.
Seen something wrong.
And the next highest is Texas Tech at 500.
Florida's minus 125 to make the Final Four?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the gap is 600. Well, I don't know what the math is. 525.
Sure.
It's a big enough difference that it's like
a few percentage points.
Yeah. I'm willing to when Vegas is that far skewed, I'm taking Florida. And also, I mean, as much as I like to give you guys crap for being UF students, I did love UF. I love everything about UF, and I would totally going to be an emotional picker here and just pick them to make it out of this region.
Anytime. And can you just double check real quick if Florida has the best odds of any team to make the Final Four in their region, like win the region, that is. On that note, though, I'm picking Florida over UConn. That will be a fun game. I hope you enjoy that, Dylan, even if it's Oklahoma, even if it's Norfolk State. I sure hope not, bro. But anyway, we're gonna pick Florida, and then Colorado State, Maryland. I'm just ready to pick Maryland again. I've just seen really good things about them. So, Mizzou, Texas Tech. I agree. Texas Tech is great. I'm not really seeing that. I mean, I don't know. Like, again, that could be Drake right there versus Texas Tech, and then Drake could just be that one like team that makes it to the Elite Eight. So, but I've been liking a lot of what I've seen about that team, and Kansas St.
I feel like
John's.
it's safer if we're trying to keep a bracket that's like solid. It's better to take Texas Tech because in the event that Drake does somehow win, they're not going to beat Texas Tech.
I sure hope not. Yeah, but with a guy like JT Toppin, of course, they have a talented roster. And
is that Obi Toppin's brother?
I don't believe so.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
wow.
kind of doubt it.
I'll look that up though.
And then Dylan, you talk about the coaches, but is there any reason to pick Kansas over St. John's? This incredible defensive team that's a little lackluster on the other end.
I mean, this is one that just makes you want to pull your hair out as somebody who could pore over the data, because everything that Kansas has given us this year is that they have been extremely disappointing relative to what their expectations are. But when this team plays its best basketball, there is a reason that they were picked as the preseason #1 favorite to win it all. And St. John's has nights where they can't hit the ocean from the beach, frankly. And I can see why Rick Pitino said that he wanted to kill himself watching this team shoot the basketball. So St. John's is the safe bet, but Kansas could absolutely do something stupid and just go on one of those runs that's like, well, Bill Self has found a way to get the most out of his guys, and I certainly wouldn't be surprised, but I'm taking St. John's here. It's the safest bet.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the final, Elite Eight. No, Sweet 16. I apologize.
I also apologize. JT Toppin is the younger brother of Obi Toppin.
Wow.
So
Man knows ball. That's incredible.
Baller
Guys,
family right there.
Is their dad going to amputate his leg and then get on Privy's account? Okay, let's get back to business.
Shout out the Pacers, of course.
And shout out the bar.
I do think that it's perfectly feasible to have a 1, 2, 3, 4 in one of the regions. So I'm not upset at this. And these are, if you take a look at the talent of the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds, this might be the best collection that we have. Like the talent that I'm least willing to pick upsets against. So I'm ready for the Elite Eight to be Florida, Texas Tech. Do you guys agree with me there?
I'm cool with it.
I honestly, if Texas Tech was not in the Gators region, I already had in my mind a week ago that I was going to pick them to make the Final Four. Now that is not happening. But I like the team a lot. But I'm definitely glossing over St. John's. So Dylan, are you way more passionate about St. John's than Texas Tech?
This is where it gets so tough.
It's a really tough matchup.
There's honestly nothing I could contribute here. It's two teams with two very different philosophies. St. John's is going to beat you on defense. Texas Tech has a far better offense.
Yeah.
I really can't offer anything here besides I like good players, like star players to take advantage of the moment in March, and JT Toppin is a bona fide star. RJ Lewis for St. John's is also arguably one of the best players in the country. There's not really any insight I can offer here.
I got something.
Go ahead.
I watched the Pacers today, and I watched Obi Toppin score a 3-point shot. I'm picking Texas Tech.
It's a sign. Take Texas Tech.
It's a sign.
Red
I like
Raiders.
it.
Guys, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. I like the Red Raiders because they throw tortillas on the field during football games. They cut holes in them to make them fly better, and they literally, at the kickoff, throw tortillas on the field. So maybe they'll throw tortillas on St. John's chances of winning a championship. I don't know.
That was good.
Love to hear it.
And we're picking Florida, right?
We are picking the Florida Gators
to
make it out of the South region and
on.
head to the great city of San Antonio. I almost forgot for the Final Four. You already know. And honestly, if I didn't have
those churros.
All right, bro.
The women in San Antonio.
Don't go to Galveston, my man. Be careful.
Let's send the Galveston Texas with that dirty water. All right.
All right. Florida Gators. All right. New region. And we're gonna do these faster now that we've gotten through a lot of our storylines. Hopefully. Duke, Cooper Flag. That's a good team, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Nah, Ramsey, it sucks.
You know what, bro? I'm trying out here. I'm trying. All right.
We should
Will
do another
Cooper Flag
episode.
play?
What's that?
Sorry, what's that, bro?
Will Cooper Flag play? Is the big question right now.
It is a question, of course.
They want to give him more rest. Is that what the other option is?
No, he's coming off a pretty nasty ankle injury that kept him out of the ACC tourney.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't even know.
Yeah, so people are thinking that they might choose to rest him round one just to be safe. But when he comes back, obviously he's the main driver of that team. They're a good team without him, but he is one of the best players in the entire country. He's one of two, Janai Broom and him. How healthy is he?
I'm taking Duke, obviously, in the first round. We can talk about the second round, maybe. But yeah, Cooper Flag, that'll be fun to watch for people who are excited to see where he's landing in the NBA. Actually, I think future episode we're going to be talking about when the lottery happens, how we expect this to shake out for different teams, and yeah, Cooper Flag. Hope he doesn't get sent to the depths of Charlotte or whatever. But
guys,
I guess
the
we'll
Sixers
find out.
are tanking for him. It's gonna be Cooper Flag, Jared McCain, and Tyrese Maxey.
If the 76ers get rewarded with Cooper Flag after all, as a Celtics fan, I would be extraordinarily upset. But or San Antonio, dude, that would honestly make me more upset.
I saw something pretty great the other day. It was Cooper Flag threatening to go back to Duke for one more year and to run it back. And a Wizards fan tweeted, and people were theorizing that it was to avoid a team like the Wizards. And Wizards fan tweeted out, "We can do this all day, buddy. Like, we're gonna suck.
We'll stay bad.
We're gonna suck next year too.
We're not going anywhere."
I did see something interesting about the draft in that when the Spurs drafted David Robinson, they had that young star, probably, consensus best in college basketball, and I think it would not be a stretch to say that Cooper Flag is there. And they drafted David Robinson, and how the lotteries worked out, I don't remember the exact story, but they ended up with a top pick, or I believe it was pick number 1 in about 7 years after that, and they were able to draft Duncan. And
that was because Robinson had an injury that season, so the Spurs just fell from grace really hard.
And the parallel was the Wemby versus Flag, and how bad the Spurs have been. I mean, that could be scary.
Exactly. There was a much bigger distance between Tim Duncan and David Robinson, but
of course,
the first thing I think of, most recent example, is when the Warriors all collapsed, drafted Wiseman, who I don't know if he necessarily was the savior of their team, but like they won the title next year. The Spurs can do that, and this man, I'm excited to watch him.
Anyways,
yeah, let's move past. I want to pick VJ Edgecombe and Baylor because I want to see VJ versus Cooper Flag. Do you guys agree?
Too. I'm really hyped to see what Baylor can do in this tournament. They have Jeremy Roach from Duke, which he was the driving force of that Final Four team with Paolo Banchero, and he has a lot of tournament experience. They also have Norchad Omier. Shout out to Miami. One of the main driving forces of their huge runs as well. It really makes no sense why this Baylor team is so bad. Like, they had really high expectations coming into this season. Maybe they're a team that figures it out late in March.
Yeah, Norchad was one of the best, most consistent scorers we had, and you could just always feel like whenever the offense was low, which was pretty frequent when he was here last year, you would just look for Omier, and he would give you a bucket, and he's a dangerous rebounder. It is he is a physically dominant man.
He is one of the best offensive rebounders I have ever seen. He's pretty undersized for how big he plays, and I got to see him play against UCF twice, and both times I was just immensely impressed by his motor and his ability to consistently come away with the rebound in big moments. He might be big for Baylor in this tournament.
And you'll be seeing these games in person, so that's very exciting for you.
Absolutely.
You used to be a bit of a Duke fan yourself, too, so Duke and UF getting to watch in person, wow.
Yep. It's going to be a great weekend of basketball.
All right, next up, Oregon Liberty. Honestly, I don't have any opinions about this.
Yeah,
Pick Oregon, move on.
Yeah,
same
I've
with
seen
Arizona
Liberty,
versus Akron.
seen Liberty shoots a lot of threes, makes a lot of threes, so maybe they're just one of those teams that it goes on a run like that. But I hate Liberty as a university. Straight up, they're very, very racist origins to their university. I hope that Oregon wipes the floor with them. So,
All right, easy pick. Akron. Wow. So yeah, I mean, I can talk about what I know about Akron.
Can we pick one word, one name? Ready? 1, 2, 3. LeBron.
just
Sorry, you
a
had Akron
From
late
listed
pick
St.
on
from
this.
Vincent
Akron.
St. Vincent St. Mary's, guys. Yeah, this Akron team, from what I remember, has one of the most fast-paced and three-point shooting heavy offenses. I think their team is extremely small, right? Like they don't have any dude over, I don't know, 6'8" or something, which is pretty unbelievable for a team that's this good. They did win this tournament, and as you can see, they're 28-6, so that's a great record in the regular season. The competition hasn't been there, but like they have many really talented players, and a lot of people are looking at Akron as like this is a very exciting upset team. So it's been a while since we picked an upset. I'm looking at them.
They have no one above 6'8", and I mean the thing is, in college you can kind of get away with that more than you can in the pros. So
Yeah, I think you just run that small ball, super fast paced offense. I mean, we've even seen the Thunder run lineups with 6'7", Shea being the tallest player on the court, and I mean when all the guys are like 6'7", like it just gets to a point, you know. I don't know what the point I just made. I was just trying to say 6'7" for all the folks at home. Anyway,
The one
do you
barrier
like?
that Akron might run into in this game is Henry Vasar. He is 7'2", kind of stretch five for Arizona. He's really come on in the later part of the year, as has this Arizona team. They've been playing their best basketball towards the end of the year. They were extremely disappointing in the beginning half of the season, and they really caught on in Big 12 play. They have Caleb Love, who, for those who know, he is probably the most wild card player out of any college basketball player in the nation. He will either give you 30 or he will give you 2 points on like 14% efficiency. So I wouldn't be mad at the Akron pick here, but they're gonna have their hands full with Henry Vasar. Expect Arizona to scheme around him if their tallest player is 6'8".
That's pretty dangerous if your best player is that big. I'm okay with picking Arizona. The other reason why I don't like them is
absolutely.
because they were a 2 seed 2 years ago and they lost to Princeton, and I think I had them in the championship game, and so that made me really mad.
To be clear, Henry Vasar is not one of their best players. He has been incorporated more into the team's success as of late. He's been
Okay.
playing a lot better, but you know.
Do you think they can? That means they can scheme really well then to prepare for Akron, because that's pretty dangerous.
Well, I definitely think that they can, and if they are able to control the pace of the game, I think that that's something that could make them very dangerous. But then you run into something like St. Peter's against Kentucky, where obviously St. Peter's was never a very big team. Kentucky had Oscar Tshiebwe at the time, who's just this animal force on the inside, grabbing rebounds, dominating in the low post. This is a tough one. I wouldn't be mad about going with Akron though. I like what you were putting down with their statistics.
All right, let's do it. Let's have some fun.
All right, Akron.
I've been seeing a lot of great things about VCU. I'm honestly pretty excited about them. I've heard that they're very underseeded, so I'm ready to pick them here.
I am too.
Dylan, do you think VCU is too easy of a pick?
Yeah, they're heavily underseeded. 11 below they're the third highest for the underseeded teams. I've heard a lot of great things about them too. I know that BYU's playing pretty good basketball right now, but why not? Let's just pick an upset just because. I also don't like BYU because they always beat UCF in everything. So I hope they have an early exit.
In Evan Maya's model of like just probabilities to win the championship, which is not straight chalk because it accounts for current injuries and a lot of different things that he's accounted for. And by the way, in this model, if you guys are curious, the first 4 are 1 seeds, the next 4 are 2 seeds, You want to know the team after that? Gonzaga. So it's pretty
Yeah.
dangerous. Anyway, VCU and BYU are like basically tied. They're like next to each other in the list with VCU above BYU. So when I see that and the fact that this is like a pretty big difference in seeding, but people are excited about it. I'm taking Virginia Commonwealth. Also, fun fact: I remember I once ordered a shirt from Fanatics, and then for some random reason they gave me an extra item, and it was a men's medium VCU basketball shirt. And I don't know why, but since then I've low-key like respected VCU. I have a free shirt from them. So yeah.
W.
What does the V stand for again?
Virginia.
Virginia.
Oh, I meant the C. Commonwealth. My bad.
There you go.
Man is too tired.
Wisconsin, Montana. This is a pretty straight shot one. I'm taking Wisconsin.
Go
Don't think there's any
Wisconsin.
interjections.
Next one. I don't want to pick Vandy. I don't know about y'all.
I hate
Yeah, I'm with the
Vandy.
same. Yeah.
They're not a team that should be here. If you look at a lot of the kill shot stuff, a lot of the overseeded stuff, every metric that we've been looking at screams Vanderbilt is a no-go.
So let's avoid that. And then we're picking Bama. All right. So I
Roll
guess we have an
Tide.
11, 13, and 9 making it, which was pretty good. Duke versus Baylor. We'll take Duke, right?
I already picked Duke.
Yeah.
You can't just. I mean, if Cooper Flag is back, it's gonna be a game over. I
Yeah,
would not.
I'm
I
really
would not
hoping he will be.
consider betting against Duke until at least the Sweet 16.
My hot take is that out of all this is a take that I'm sure I'll get fried for during the NCAA tournament. But my hottest take is I think if any one seed gets upset before the first weekend ends, it's gonna be Duke.
Really?
Wow.
With that being said, I'm still picking them. It is an if any of the one seeds were to go down. I think that Duke has the highest chance of not making it out of the first weekend. I think that Baylor is really, really dangerous, and all it takes is one game. So I'll leave it at that.
On the roster continuity and experience, and Duke is a little bit lacking. I mean, they have really good players, but their experience is just kind of average for the tournament field, and their continuity is mid. But you want to talk about the trapezoid of excellence. You want to talk about net rating, tiers of contenders. Like Duke is first in a lot of people's metrics, and Cooper Flag is the best player in the country for a lot of people. So I don't think we should.
Here's a fun fact about Duke. On I think it's Evan Myers. I'll check it.
Mm-hmm.
They are the number 1 overall seed, and by Evan Myers, I don't even know how this is possible, but by Evan Myers' numbers, they are underseeded.
Yeah, I did see that. The 1 seed is underseeded based on their performance.
How does that even work? How is the number 1 overall seed underseeded? But that's just how historically dominant this Duke team has been this year. And credit to John Shire, the roster construction, very different from a typical Duke team. They brought in guys like Sion James, guys that are older, had more experience in the transfer portal instead of just relying on freshman superpower alone. They held over guys like Tyrese Proctor, and it's made a big, big difference for this team having that older leadership experience in addition to the freshman superstars like Cooper Flag and Con Knipple.
Got it. All right, that sounds good. Akron, Oregon. Honestly, this is kind of a toss-up for me. I don't know if we want to keep carrying this team to the Sweet 16, but I would have fun with it. What do y'all think?
I have nothing of insight besides the fact that they both shoot a very similar amount of free throws, and I do think free throws are important, and I think that being physical is important, but I have not watched enough of either of their games to know at all.
Same here. I don't really know either about these two schools. What I do know is we've already chosen at least one double-digit seed for the Sweet 16. So in theory, we filled our double-digit requirement. If you look at metrics from the last couple of years, so I guess we don't have to choose Akron, but it is a toss-up for me.
LeBron. No, it's so hard to pick. I mean, especially when there's just so many teams. I'm not sure. Ramsey, do you have anything? I can't think of anything.
No, I really like this Akron team, but I'm honestly pretty afraid of them against Arizona, and it might just be in our best interest to avoid picking them to go that far. They're one of those teams that could get destroyed, but also the stats do indicate that they could be a Cinderella team. It's just like, as compared to UC San Diego, Akron might be the team I'm second most excited about, but I think we might as well take Oregon. We haven't had a 5 seed make it to the Sweet 16 yet, so let's just do that.
Okay. I'm totally good with that.
And then Wisconsin, VCU.
I'm really trying right now to find a reason to pick VCU because I do want them, but Wisconsin is amazing, and so I'm happy to just move past this.
Yeah, John Tonje and move on. He's incredible. Go Badgers.
VCU and Wisconsin are both top 6 in the country in 3-point attempts, or 3-point attempt rate. So we're going to be seeing a shootout if that happens.
I can't wait for the nation to see John Tonje and the ridiculous shots that he takes off balance, step back, off center from deep. He's a phenomenal player.
All right, let me take Bama. Right.
Yep.
Roll Tide.
And then we got a 1, 2, 3, 5.
My gut says to take Duke, and I like Duke, and it's really hard for me to go against Duke because, like Dylan, I was also growing up as a Duke fan. My dad loved Mike Krzyzewski. Oregon's great, but I want Duke to win. I think this is now an emotional choice for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if Oregon is making it that far. I guess that little tiny region might be the region I am the least familiar with, but I think Duke is the way safer pick.
Yeah, Oregon feels like it just slipped this far, kind of as a result of the matchups that it was against. I mean, they had to play against Liberty, and then if we're right, Akron. I don't really think it's that close. Duke.
And then Bama, Wisconsin.
Man, these 3-2 matchups, man. These 3-2 matchups. Oh my goodness. I think when you look at that trapezoid of excellence and the whole pace chart, Alabama is the fastest team in the country. They force the most possessions. First in pace. They're if you guys just scroll to that bottom of that chart, they're way to the right. And so I think as opposed to Wisconsin, which is perfectly in the middle, which means they're adaptable, right? I just see Alabama kind of running them out the gym in this kind of scenario. And you can pick the excellent players on both teams, but I'm not afraid of having them make it this far. Yeah, I'm thinking Bama.
Yep, I'm cool with it. Running endurance is such a big thing, especially if this goes to overtimes and running down the courts. I mean, that's you can get your opponent gassed, it's over.
Yeah.
You want to hear something else though? If we're in a foul situation, Wisconsin is first in the country in free throw percentage. And that's actually pretty dangerous because that is something that I am a proponent of mattering so much. So, ooh, man. Dylan, you're the tiebreaker between...
Only thing I might worry about here is the health of Grant Nelson.
Okay.
He was out against us. He got injured in the SEC tournament. Marks, I don't know. This is a toss-up. I'll just give the nod to Alabama because they've been the more dominant team this year. These two, like you said, these 2 threes are so tough.
And
I don't know about you guys. Yeah.
Continue.
Rajan, do you think we should have another 1 seed making the Final Four? Because I don't want it. But is Duke that good? Okay,
Guys,
Dylan's nodding.
I cannot pick against Duke. How do you? I don't know.
Yeah. Evan Meyer made an excellent depiction of roster talent, comparing the production of the best guy on your team to the 8th best guy on your team. Yeah. And that's at near the bottom of that that we're looking at. And Duke, by far and away, the best 8th man. You can just tell their entire team is stacked. And obviously Cooper Flagg, National Player of the Year type guy. Hopefully he'll be healthy by this point in the tournament, and that he'll have broken in to his new kicks. But yeah, between Duke and a team like Bama, who obviously are very talented, but and they're more consistent when you compare Mark Sears to the guys on their bench. Duke has that like raw talent, and the metrics indicate that this should be the favorite, underseeded even the 0 seed. Dylan, do you think they need to get this?
It's so upsetting to have 3 1 seeds. I really don't know how we got here. This stuff is so hard, man.
This is really hard, and I'm kind of upset
But
with what
guys,
we did.
we know this is going to be the perfect bracket, right?
There's
Right?
no. There's a. I don't know. I think that there will be at least 2 1 seeds that make it this year, but I don't like it.
I feel like we're also setting ourselves up for like, if we are right, this is the most boring March Madness of all time. 3 1 seeds make it all the way.
You know what? We kind of decided throughout this that this is, instead of trying to be more realistic, this is like a intelligent bracket creation.
Yeah.
And given the statistics we know, and it's intelligent to say that Duke is really good, that Auburn is really good, that Florida is really good. Maybe we'll make a different decision in the next region. Who knows? But anyway, all right, let's take the Blue Devils. No, I'm not happy. Yeah, 1-2,
How
1-2.
did we get here? Like they're so good that, and you just think like, there are so many teams that can get past them, but when you're comparing them on paper, it's just so hard to see a team like Maryland beating Florida, a team like Texas Tech getting past Florida. Like it's just so difficult on paper looking at, but that's why March is so great. I mean, the parity's unmatched.
Mm-hmm. All right, and we're gonna do a speed run right here for our final region. We're taking Houston, right?
Houston, and I would also take Gonzaga.
We're taking Gonzaga, and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, but we all know that Gonzaga is way better than their 8 seed indicates. As Evan Maya says, he thinks they're the 9th best team in the country. Ken Palm
and that
also,
Georgia tends the ball over a lot.
Oh yeah, Ken Palm also thinks that they're the 9th best team in the country. Like, they've underperformed, but they are so good. We're taking Gonzaga, and I don't like Georgia. Actually, I do like Georgia. I hate to say it, I did apply to Georgia. I like the school, but I don't like them anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Clemson versus McNeese. There are people out here picking McNeese, and I was more excited about them last year. But I see a lot more hype around Clemson, so I'm just gonna roll with that.
I agree. The manager, their manager has gotten pretty viral recently for being a social media sensation.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't think they get very far. I'm not too excited about them.
I've seen some things about High Point, Dylan. Do you have any reason to pick them over Purdue?
I've seen a lot of buzz around them. Just quickly running through their stats. I mean, I haven't heard anything to pick them over Purdue. Winners of 14 straight, good shooting team, experienced, talented guards. I mean, if you're gonna have an upset at a 4-13 line, this isn't an unreasonable pick. But I feel like we've already gone so much chalk. Do we want to choose High Point as our upset? I'm down to, but
I would be pretty down too. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it'd be a good one to pick.
14 All right, let's straight.
Let's
maybe
do it.
15.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. One of the hottest teams in the entire country, so that'd be really exciting to see.
Oh wow, Purdue has also lost a majority of their big games leading into March. An L to Michigan, Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Illinois, all leading into March. So, High Point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Illinois versus Texas or Xavier. I mean, I like Xavier, but it's hard for me to pick against Illinois.
Illinois was shockingly within that group. I don't know why they're there, but for some reason, they're in the group that, according to KenPom, is able to win the national championship. Again, I don't really see it. Kind of like a polar bear in Arlington situation, but I'll take them to get past Texas or Xavier.
Yeah, lost the last 3, but they have wins against Tennessee, Gonzaga, and Duke. I mean, those are all big teams to be able to beat. And that's something we got to keep in mind is that if you can win big games against big teams, you can always have a chance to win at least the first round.
So we taking who?
I'll take Illinois.
All right. The next one, I've honestly seen some pretty negative opinions about UK, and not gonna lie though, Troy is the worst 3-point shooting team in the tournament, last. So I can't pick them. Meanwhile, Kentucky averages third or fourth most points. Like they have a really good offense. So not yet. I can't pick against Kentucky in this one.
Yes, Kentucky is one of those underseeded teams. I can't see them losing this early. I mean, okay. Troy is Troy. Sorry.
UCLA versus Utah State. What do you got about this one?
It is a tough one. Utah State's a really good team. I mean, just like a very well put together, very complete team. I've seen a lot of buzz around them. Some notable wins of theirs. They play in a lower conference. They didn't really have a ton of opportunities, but they have some crucial wins over San Diego State, St. Mary's. Those are two teams in the field. Some very close losses to New Mexico and Colorado State, one of the hottest teams in the country. And UCLA, I honestly don't know that much about UCLA. Do either of you guys have anything to add for UCLA?
Just that UCLA has beaten Arizona, Gonzaga, Michigan State, but they're both kind of on a cold streak. UCLA's lost their last 3, and Utah State's lost their last 2, but 4 out of 5. So this to me is a toss-up.
All right, let's see if we can find any nice graphs.
I see it. I don't know. I think there are a lot of different things that can come into play. I'm not seeing any statistics that particularly make me think one team stands out over the other that much. I think on the experience front, it looks like UCLA is a bit better in that category, but I can't find anything showing that it's going to be the deciding factor. Utah State is a really good 2-point shooting team, so I think they operate much more in the paint, which is more interesting. But honestly, in a situation like this, I kind of just roll with the higher seeded team. I'm not sure what the spread is on this one. If you could check it, but if I'll give you one thing, UCLA does have a pretty good kill shot margin. We were talking about those runs; they're like top 10 on that metric. So that's a good
spread is UCLA by 5.5. I like California more than Utah. I'll go for UCLA.
Interestingly, both of these teams are considered to be overseeded if you look at the S curve. So,
all right, well, so let's take UCLA.
Yep,
let's take Tennessee, and then let's take Tennessee over UCLA.
Absolutely.
Real quick, interesting fact about Wofford. They have a guy that shoots free throws granny style.
I did see that dude, yeah. Some
really?
great clips from that.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Can you imagine Tennessee getting iced at the free throw line by a dude shooting his free throws like Rick Barry? That'd just be so perfect.
Unbelievable. Poetic even.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wofford on the net rating thing is not there. I mean, they're 15 seed. Props to them. They made it this far. But and I'm guessing there's gonna be at least one 15 or 14 seed to win, and we haven't picked any. But I don't know. Never know. Tennessee did make the SEC final, so shout out to them. Rajan, you want to lead the discussion for the rest?
Well, I got that. It's hard for me to pick Illinois versus Kentucky. I mean, the only thing I have in terms of like real buzz is that Illinois is a really great offensive rebounding team, and I think we talked about, I don't remember which team is we were talking about North Shadomir and Baylor, and how big offensive rebounding is. And Kentucky, they have some pretty big guys, but they're not the same rebounding prowess that Illinois has. That's all I have. I don't really. It's hard to pick these picks when it's like 3 and 6, 2, 5, any within the top 6. It's so hard to just pick one.
I actually agree with you that Illinois is killing it on the offensive rebounding, but Kentucky and Illinois are both in the same margin for defensive rebounding. They're both in this metric, which features all the Power 5 schools I'm looking at. They're both like top 5 or 6. So I don't know if this will come down to the rebounding, and if that's what you're telling me is one of Illinois' biggest strengths in a matchup like this, I'm not sure. They are a very streaky team from what I've seen. And Kentucky, though, is considered quite strong and resilient to stuff like that. So I'm fine with just picking UK. I don't know.
I'm good with it too. My aunt went to UK.
Interesting thing about this game, Jackson Robinson, one of Kentucky's star players, is out for the season. So that's a huge blow for Kentucky. Also, I'm really not high on this Kentucky team. They, by all metrics, are overseeded. Illinois, I'll go with you guys on this with Kentucky, but I tend to trust the Ken Palm gods, on for some reason, including Illinois in their national championship statistic. Also, something that I just realized, we have not had a 7 seed or higher make the Final Four, which has occurred in 10 of the past 11 Final Fours. So our bracket might be a little bit cooked if you look at historical trends, but we said that we were going to go by the chalk
right now, because I'm picking High Point to beat Clemson.
High Point to the Final Four.
I wanna go back for a quick second. My mind has been completely changed. Okay, we can still pick Kentucky, but Evan Maya's model, which factors in current injuries, if you look at March Madness tournament probabilities, Kentucky is in the middle of the list, like middle. There's 64 teams. Kentucky is like below VCU in their odds to win the championship.
The predictive metrics were very, very, very heavy on hating Kentucky. I struggled to even get them out of the first round, but it's Troy, so I trust them.
Yeah, okay, we'll take them over Troy, but also they could play Texas or Xavier in this game too. There's 3 different potential matchups. Like, I'm okay with picking against Kentucky. I think the 3 seed made it in all of our regions. Yeah, it has. If y'all want to go against it, let's just do it.
I'm good with that. I love a good offensive rebounding team.
Cool.
All right. I think I am gonna take Clemson. Sorry, Rajan. I don't know about that.
We got because crazy pick. We have to have one.
Hold on.
I'm taking Gonzaga.
Look, yes, I agree. Dylan, look at the other matchup. Gonzaga killing it on all of these metrics. We don't have to do any explanation. We need to pick some 1 seed to lose before the first weekend ends. I'm taking Gonzaga over Houston. How does that affect your decision now to force High Point to make it, Rajan?
Could you imagine a 5 versus 13 thing for the Final Four?
I guarantee you it happened last year. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but like it will. Yeah. And if you want to do it, let's do it, dude. Screw it.
Let's do it. We're doing High Point. Let's go.
High Point versus Gonzaga, 8 versus 13.
And then we're gonna do High Point. I'm picking them to beat Florida.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay, we're acting a little emotionally. Are we sure Clemson over High Point is I feel like Clemson might just be a better idea, guys.
Guys, wouldn't it be really poetic if we make this work?
Oh my god.
I don't know, man.
Let's live life on the edge, guys. There's always next year.
Well, let's look at the teams that we have in the Sweet 16 so far. We have 1 Auburn, 12 UC San Diego, 3 Iowa State, 2 Michigan State, 2 Alabama, 3 Wisconsin, 5 Oregon, 1 Duke, 8 Gonzaga, 1 Florida, 4 Maryland, 3 Texas Tech, 2 St. John's, 2 Tennessee, 6 Illinois. So we have a decent mix-in of some higher seeds with 6 Illinois, 5 Oregon, obviously UC San Diego, Gonzaga, Clemson, High Point, both kind of higher seeds. Do we want any more I guess high seeds sneaking into the Sweet 16? I'll leave this up to you guys. If y'all really want to pick High Point, I'll let it ride. But
guys, High Point
Clemson
is plus
is probably
25,000.
Plus what?
We're plus 25,000 to get to the Final Four.
What is
Oh,
Clemson? Because
no.
I'm pretty sure Clemson should not be 5th place in that ranking.
They are.
Really? Kentucky's above them?
Yes, but only by 400. But I mean, okay, guys, let's
I don't like
let
that.
me just say the number again. High Point is plus 25,000. They are below Troy.
Okay, that's all I need to hear, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clemson.
Randall wins again.
Let's pick Clemson, and at least we have an interesting 8-5-6-2. This is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Region of chaos here.
in the Bulldogs versus the Tigers, Gonzaga versus Clemson. That's a pretty good matchup, in all honesty. And I'm happy to pick Gonzaga, even though I'm sure a lot of other people will be doing the same thing. That obviously the stats indicate they're good, but they might just lose, like they did a lot.
So
I think the other thing is that
have we advanced every 2 seed to the Sweet 16?
no, we did not advance St. Oh, yes. No. Oh, to the Sweet 16. Then yes, right? Because Texas Tech we
Yes.
had winning, or I mean getting there.
I believe we have. So one of the March
Oh wait,
Madness
did you
friends.
guys pick? I picked Kansas over St. John's in my end. Did you guys do that or no?
Oh, I picked
I
St.
did
John's.
not. I picked St.
Okay,
John's. I thought we agreed
then
on St.
we
John's.
must have done that. I'm sorry, but
either way, the Texas Tech bet is still there. So I mean, this would be the only reason that we have no 3 seed or 4 seed for that matter.
So at least one number 2 seed has been knocked out before the Sweet 16 in 24 of the past 27 tournaments.
well, not this one because our bracket's perfect, right, guys?
So true.
So perfect that you know what? VCU versus Akron. Like they're in the same region. Let me think of a better one.
Now that you said it's gonna. Oh wait, yeah.
High Point versus San Diego championship game, dude. Called
Akron versus Drake.
Bro wants the LeBron versus Drake matchup so bad.
I want it so bad.
Okay. Let's lock in. Let's wrap this up for our viewers because this massive double episode, nobody's listening to this. So let's wrap it up.
Gonzaga, Clemson. I'm gonna take Clemson.
Any reason for that, dude? Because I can give you several reasons to pick Gonzaga.
Give me them right now.
All right. Well, now that you said that, I need a minute.
Here, can we get the Tennessee pick over with the? Are we picking Tennessee or Illinois? I feel like this one
Man,
might be
I sent you a bracket a while ago, a simulation that had Florida winning it all, and Illinois happened to make the Final Four, and you were like, "Really, bro? Is this really that realistic?" And I was like, "Hey, man, probabilities." And you literally pointed it out because of Illinois. And so since then, I'm had in my head that this team is trash, and so I'm happy to pick the Volunteers because I love that mascot with that dog and the Volunteers. It's so positive, dude.
Shout out Kendall McGowan.
Sure, shout her out, good friend of ours. And I'm sure she'll be happy to see the Tennessee Vols making it and then getting. Oh wait, no, they won't put
getting
Florida on the
cooked
Final
by
Four.
Gonzaga.
They will be cooked by Gonzaga. Dude, this feels.
What happened to picking against Gonzaga? I thought we were going Clemson.
No.
What? I said give me one good reason why. You said, well, actually, now that I think about it.
Okay, I'll give you a reason. Ken Palm ranks all the teams by their net rating. Gonzaga is an 8 seed, which means they should be like 30th, right? They're 9th. Okay.
Dang.
Yeah,
Clemson.
What's Clemson?
Clemson is 18th. With all due respect, that is the best 5 seed.
Yeah.
And honestly, like they are. I think
Out
they
of
are
4 other 5 seeds or 3 other 5 seeds.
Okay, bro. Yes, but like to be fair, this team is really good. I saw some experts picking Clemson to make the Final Four. We can do that if you guys want. And honestly, I kind of think it's a bit cheap to pick Gonzaga to make the Final Four just because we need to fit that quota. Like, are we sure Gonzaga is the right pick? That doesn't seem like very March Madness-y.
Yeah, guys, we should go for Colorado State instead.
No,
I would much rather do that.
Underseeded team, good guard play. I mean, I know it's not flashy because like it is Gonzaga and we're so used to them dominating, but I'd be down to go. Like if we were to redo this, then I'd be down to change around some things. But let's just get it over with.
All right.
Are we doing Clemson or Gonzaga?
You can't rush perfection, dude.
Oh,
This is
so
happening.
true.
We're not picking a bracket. We're writing history. In fact, let's go back and make sure that Drake wins the tournament.
Oh my god.
Okay. Oh my god.
What are we picking? I still don't know.
I'm feeling a big Wofford upset here.
You know what? Norfolk State. I don't even care anymore.
We need to actually pick a team. Let's just say our picks on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Clemson.
Akron.
Lipscomb.
I went for Clemson versus Gonzaga. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Zaga.
Clemson.
All right, we could do Clemson.
I was not confident either.
I'm sorry, Dylan. I know we need a higher seed. I don't want Gonzaga to go that far.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, we could take Clemson.
Wait, but can we have them in the Final Four? Because low-key, if we put Tennessee in the Final Four, we have a lot of chalks. But Tennessee's better. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Did we not just establish that we don't care about this?
Roll Clemson.
Is that a thing they say?
I don't think so. I don't really know what they
do. This is not Akron, dude.
Well, okay. Tennessee just had a pretty bad loss, right?
I wouldn't call it bad. Yes. I mean, they weren't winning. Was it wire to wire? I think it was.
It was pretty close.
Florida, like, it was close in the first half, and then you could see the point where Florida's depth just kind of overwhelmed Tennessee, and they pulled away and kept them at arm's length for the rest of the game.
Mm.
Thank you. I'm too tired, bro, to remember all this. Okay, I guess Tennessee's our Final Four pick.
I guess so.
I'm not particularly happy about it, and honestly, guys,
all I'm saying is we had the opportunity, and I said we could do High Point to make it all the way, and you guys said no. I'm down to High Point to beat Clemson, Gonzaga, and Tennessee.
The problem with March Madness is that I guarantee. I heard what you just said. I guarantee that a team that we didn't even give the light of day, we all laughed in the face of McNeese, and we chuckled and guffawed in conversation talking about talking about Vanderbilt. Like, there's gonna be a team like this that makes the Elite Eight, and then, well, obviously our bracket is gonna be perfect and everything, and there's gonna be 3 1 seeds and a 2 seed in the championship. But
then Alabama State's gonna win the whole thing. All right. let. Oh my god.
Call lacking again, dude. Oh my goodness.
Explodes on camera.
Balls. Okay, ready? That's good. I think I'm good with that.
Okay. Auburn, Florida, Duke, Tennessee.
Oh my god, this would be crazy if this happened.
Do you like this, Dylan?
Go Gators. I'm just indifferent.
He's tired of it.
I like the Gators to win it all, and we've given enough reason. They're great.
They are great.
My reasoning is, go Gators. That's my reasoning. You keep making that face, bro. What was Miami's record again? 7-23 or something like that. Yeah. That's what I thought.
It was so bad.
And then
how did we get here? How do we have 3 1 seeds and a 2 seed? We're terrible.
Because I kept asking you guys what's the best decision. Like,
it's like High Point.
I was down to go Gonzaga.
Shut up about High Point, dude.
We kept like my pick. If one team's gonna just like completely throw everything, like, it's gonna be High Point.
Mine is still San Diego, and I'm honestly down to go take them over Auburn. Whatever, man. Like, clearly, this is not going to happen. And the problem is that every single time we stopped and we paused and we said, Auburn is too good, Duke is too good. Like, they're not going to lose this early, or even if they are, it's not a safe pick for a bracket. And you know what? That's fine. That's how most people fill out their brackets. That's what you should do to win a group. I mean, like, of the 4 teams we picked, guess what? There's a very high chance that the champion is one of those 4, and then you get a lot of points. But, like, meanwhile, you pick High Point to win it all, and then Houston does. Like, come on, bro. Oh, yeah, Rajan, in our friend group bracket, though, you should make one with High Point and submit that.
Oh, absolutely, it's happening. And
are we limited?
I think I can do
Yeah,
two.
the bracket group that I'm doing with y'all, you can only submit one. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, one. Okay.
I'm not submitting this trash either, even though it is perfect.
Best bracket
I'll,
ever,
I'll
but it
submit it. I'll
absolutely
submit it.
sucks.
It's great. Like I actually think we did a really good job, but I also know it's just not going to happen. So it's unfortunate reading. But
What was the quote you said? We're not making picks. We're writing history.
exactly.
Okay, Duke, Tennessee. Let's figure this out right now.
Okay, not gonna lie, it just sounded like you just said Duke Dennis E.
Oh my god,
Okay, Duke Tennessee is a fun one. I want to
Duke,
take Duke.
Tennessee.
I want to take Duke because I want to see. I don't want to see an SEC final game, and I want to see Duke versus the Gators. Dylan.
Go Duke. Yeah, I'll take it.
And we got 1-on-1, Florida, Duke. I'm taking Florida, and I think the points. You guys ready for this one?
Total points scored in the championship
135.
game.
135?
135?
That's
That's too
way
low, dude.
low.
That is too low, dude. This is a high scoring game. It's gonna be like 80-80. I'm
Yeah,
going like
national
162.
Yeah, national champions average between the 70s and the 80s. I wouldn't be mad at anything in the 160s. I'll take 169 just because.
This is my upset. This is my strike back for High Point not making it. I'm gonna do something crazy. Imagine it'd be a low scoring game, and that's how Florida wins with defense.
Imagine a low scoring game. Really, man? All right.
That was a double entendre. I didn't even mean it like that.
And look, to all the viewers listening who are not Florida fans, I don't care.
Yeah.
They're gonna win the championship, and it's because I'm biased. That's why. And also because objectively speaking, Dylan did the analysis of tiers of contenders, offensive efficiency. You can look at the CBB analytics website if you want to get really excited about how good we are. We have a 99% net rating, 99% offensive rating. We're the best team in fast break points. Incredible defense, 94% in defensive rating, right? Field goal attempts per game were 98%. If you want to pick and choose our different weaknesses, you could say that we're a bit on the slower side. So pace is 69, 12%. Okay, I'm trying to be a little objective, guys. The only other ones I would mention is offensive rebounding per game. We kind of allow a lot of offensive rebounds. I guess it's the only one. Maybe our paint protection on defense could use a little work, but this roster is really good and really deep, and we can stay here all day talking about it. And guess what? If the Gators make a deep run, hopefully, Dylan, we can have you back and talk about how they're crushing it and how they're going to go win it all. Maybe we'll, after the first weekend, we can think about another Sweet 16 second chance bracket again. And maybe it won't take 2.5 hours.
We appreciate you sticking with us if you're still with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's our bracket. Florida to win it all. Closing thoughts, guys?
If Florida wins or if High Point wins, I will shave my head.
Oh,
this man.
Do you want to shave your head?
He keeps putting his hairline on everything that he finds interesting, bro.
It'll be it's like for no-brainer stuff too. It's like, who's gonna be the best team in football next year? Eagles? Yeah, if the Eagles are the best team in football, I'm shaving my head.
Just shave your head, man.
You said if it was Lakers versus Celtics in the finals, you would shave your head. Be wary of that.
I said if Lakers to win. If LeBron gets another ring, I'm shaving my head, and I'm getting a 23 put right here.
Oh man,
I'm not doing it, dude. If that happens, we're canceling the pod. We need a year. We need a year for you to look normal again, bro.
All right.
Final thoughts. This Florida team is just so good. Walter Clayton Jr. doesn't care about your feelings. He's gonna end your program, set you back 20 years. He's just that kind of a player. And I saw this crazy stat the other day. Florida has 4 different lineup combinations where their top 3 players are the top 3 most efficient players in college basketball. Thomas Howe, however you say it, is in every single one of them, which is insane. He's one of the most efficient players in college basketball. It's really special to watch.
So good, and he's here to stay too. We're super exciting for our future.
Yeah. I really hope Liberty loses. I just want to give an extra shout out to them. I really do not like that school. So go Oregon. That's about it from me.
All right, and yeah, we'll be watching a lot of March Madness. rooting against teams like Liberty and North Carolina. And everybody root for High Point, root for the Gators, root for I'm rooting for San
Akron.
Diego for sure. Akron. Yeah, when we make our own brackets, we'll take a look at who we have going where. And thank you for sticking with us, Rajan. You want to close and give him a hint of what's to come next time?
Oh yeah, like we did in episode 1. The next podcast is going to be an NFL free agency roundtable. We're going to talk Seattle. We're going to talk Pittsburgh. We're going to talk about Denver. All these teams that are making big splashes. The fighting between Pickens and DK for number 14. Who would need to do that? If we could see a WWE fight between the two of them in the locker room, it's all going to happen on the Dagger. Coming to you soon. That's it for us now.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dylan, for being our first guest. This was a lot of fun, and much more to come from our podcast. So, weekly on Mondays. So this is a special episode. So we'll see you guys next week.
That's it. See ya.